Chapter 223. Her words were soft and gentle. Compared to Chen Ning's indifferent tone, Chu Xiaoyang's heart instantly felt much better. This was the kind of woman who was considerate and considerate. Yun, you really have a heart for this king. Chu Xiaoyang praised Chen Baiyun, but his eyes slightly swept over Chen Ning. Chen Ning pretended like she did not hear him. Heart. Even if she had the heart, she wouldn't give it to him. It would be better to feed it to the dogs. This is the deer tail angelica soup that Yun specially made for your highness last night. It has been stewing for an entire night and it is still hot. Your highness must not have eaten breakfast yet, so how about you drink a bowl of hot soup first? Chen Baiyun took out a bowl of soup from the food box in Lan Xiang's hands and placed it in front of Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang smelled the angelica and couldn't help knitting his brows. Chen Baiyun's slender fingers stroked his brows and she said in a tender voice, Your Highness, Yun knows that you don't like angelica, but this is a good thing to nourish your body. Yun spent a lot of effort to stew this, so how about you drink a mouthful? That's right, it's little sister Baiyun who has thought things through. This soup is really good. The angelica nourishes the blood and the deer tail strengthens the kidneys. Your Highness, you can't disappoint little sister's good intentions. Drink it while it's hot, the effects are the best when it's hot. Chen Ning suddenly cut in. Her voice was loud and clear as she pursed her lips into a faint smile. Chen Baiyun did not wake up. She looked at Chen Ning with a smile and said, Elder sister should also drink a bowl. Chen Ning giggled and waved her hand, No need, no need. I have a cheap life, so if I drink your tonic soup, I might bleed from my orifices. Your Highness has a noble body, so you should drink it. Chu Xiaoyang's handsome face turned slightly red and his eyes filled with anger. He reached out to push Chen Baiyun away and said in a deep voice, Take it away, this king won't drink it. Chen Baiyun did not hear the sarcasm in Chen Ning's words, but he clearly heard it. If he drank this soup, wouldn't he be admitting that he couldn't do it? Thinking of this, his heart was filled with dissatisfaction towards Chen Baiyun. Could it be that she had to make angelica deer tail soup? Did she think he needed to drink deer tail soup to strengthen his body? Did she think he needed to drink deer tail soup to strengthen his body? Because he was considerate that she was pregnant and the fetus was unstable, he didn't stay at the Drunken Flower Pavilion every night. But she actually stewed angelica deer tail soup for him. Wasn't this slapping his face in front of everyone and saying that he couldn't do it? The most taboo for a man was being told he couldn't do it. He felt that the most important thing to a man was being told by a woman. If he didn't want to give Chen Baiyun some face, he would have already knocked over the bowl of soup and cursed at Chen Baiyun. It was a pity that Chen Baiyun did not have eyes and could not see that Chu Xiaoyang was filled with anger. She still brought the soup to his lips and said in a spoiled manner, Your Highness, just a sip is enough. Pfft. Chen Ning couldn't hold it in and let out a laugh. She smiled as she looked at Chu Xiaoyang. Adding oil to the fire, she said, That's right, Your Highness should just take a sip. That coquettish tone of voice was imitated perfectly. With its chong-lang sound, Chen Baiyun was pushed back a few steps. Her hand became unstable and the soup bowl fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. With its chong-lang sound, Chen Baiyun was pushed back a few steps. Her hand became unstable and the soup bowl fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. Chapter 224. Chen Baiyun's face turned red and white, then white and red. Her eyes were filled with tears of grievance. Seeing her like this, Chu Xiaoyang's heart softened. He came forward to hold her arm and said in a soft voice, Yun, this king doesn't like the smell of the angelica, so. Chen Baiyun composed herself and looked up at Chu Xiaoyang with a gentle smile. It's all Yun's fault. I knew that your highness didn't like it, but I still forced your highness to drink it. Yun will not do this kind of thing again in the future. Only your highness must be hungry, so Yun personally made some small steamed buns for your highness to eat. She took out a small plate of steamed buns from the food box. The skin was as thin as a cicada's wing and it was crystal clear. It was steaming hot and had an alluring fragrance. Even when Chen Ning smelled it, she couldn't help secretly swallowing a mouthful of saliva. She never thought that this white lotus would have such good cooking skills. Wasn't she purposely trying to make her eat? She hadn't eaten breakfast yet, so why didn't she invite her to try one? Pay. White lotus things definitely couldn't be eaten, they were all dirty, smelly, and poisonous. Chen Ning looked down on herself and turned her head away. Chu Xiaoyang couldn't bear to reject Qin Bai Yun's good intentions. Adding in the fact that the steamed buns looked very alluring, he quickly ate them all in one bite. The taste isn't bad, it's been hard on Yun. He was very satisfied eating it. Chen Bai Yun's face turned red. She played with her belt and said in a low voice, "As long as your highness likes it, Yun is satisfied." "Alright, Yun go back and rest early. This king still has things to do." Chu Xiaoyang helped her fix her hair that had been blown away by the wind and said in a soft voice, "Your highness wants to teach elder sister how to ride a horse. Yun also likes horses, so I want to watch it for a while. Your highness, Yun wants to see your heroic figure on a horse, it must be very awe-inspiring." Chen Bai Yun looked up and looked at him with a pleading expression. Chu Xiaoyang's heart softened. He stroked her hair and said, "All right, but you can't stand here. The wind is strong and the sun is hot, so you should go to a place to hide. Lan Xiang, bring the concubine consort a seat." "Yes, your highness." Lan Xiang quickly went to bring a chair. Chen Bai Yun left Chu Xiaoyang and walked over to Chen Ning with a faint smile. Wherever she went, there was a fragrant wind. "Elder sister, little sister wants to watch His Highness teach elder sister how to ride a horse. Elder sister wouldn't mind, right?" She gently looked up and looked at Chen Ning riding high up on the horse. Other than Chen Ning, no one could see the hatred and disgust that flashed in her eyes. "What kind of fragrance is this? It smells terrible." Chen Ning did not like the strong smell on her body. She covered her nose and said with a smile, "Little sister's body is very fragrant." With such a strong smell, elder sister thought that little sister was trying to cover up the smell from falling into the manure pit. Chen Bai Yun's face fell. This cheap woman was truly ruthless, she actually dared to expose her in front of everyone. She gritted her teeth in anger, but she had to pretend to be gentle in front of Chu Xiaoyang. She could only awkwardly say, "Elder sister is joking. Little sister just likes the smell and accidentally smelled a bit too much. So it was an accident. Little sister is truly too careless. Last time I accidentally fell into the manure pit and was covered in a stench. This time it was an accident, but it's a good thing it's fragrant and not smelly." He. Chapter 225. Lan Xiang, you blind servant, can't you see that the wind is strong here? Why aren't you helping Yun over to rest? Chu Xiaoyang's reprimand resolved Chen Bai Yun's embarrassment. Chen Ning's lips curled up as she looked at him. There seemed to be a trace of ridicule in her eyes. Chu Xiaoyang's handsome face turned red. He had actually understood her meaning. She was clearly saying, "What kind of eyes do you have? You've fallen for this kind of idiot." It was really strange. Whether it was appearance or talent, the previous Chen Bai Yun was not something an idiot like Chen Ning could compare to. But now that the two of them were standing in front of him, he felt that Chen Ning was ugly, but in terms of intelligence, she was 10 horse carriages ahead of Chen Bai Yun. Compared to her, Chen Bai Yun, other than her face, she was stupid. Chu Xiaoyang could not understand why he had never noticed that Chen Baiyun's head was not that bright. How did he end up liking her? Forget it, a woman's virtue was to have no talent. Baiyun was a bit stupid, but she was gentle, well-educated, and had a gentle personality. She was even more considerate to him. Adding in the fact that she had saved him when he was young, how could he be where he was today? A person had to know how to repay kindness. Even if she was a rotten carrot, he would still eat her. Who told him to pick her? Chu Xiaoyang's mood was very complex, but he did not show it on his face at all. He was still cold to Qin Ning, speaking in an evil tone, but when he turned to Qin Baiyun, it immediately turned into a gentle spring breeze. He personally supported Qin Baiyun to the seat under the tree, carefully protecting her on the way. Qin Baiyun's heart was completely intoxicated. It really is a trash man and a cheap woman. Qin Ning looked at the backs of the two of them leaning against each other and curled her lips in disdain. Her voice was not loud, but Chu Xiaoyang still heard it. His footsteps slightly paused, but he did not look back. He continued to support Qin Baiyun as they walked forward, as if he did not hear anything. When he returned to Qin Ning's side, his face was filled with dark clouds, like it was about to rain at any moment. This king is warning you, you're not allowed to provoke Yun, or in the future. She is pure and kind, and she is pregnant with this king's child. If anything happens to her, this king will not forgive you. He said each word with a cold and cruel look in his eyes. Qin Ning revealed a smile and the sunlight seemed to shine into her eyes. She narrowed her eyes and said with a smile, His Highness is right, little sister is a pure and kind white lotus. You have to take good care of her and not let the wind blow or rain on her. If she catches a cold and has a runny nose, would His Highness blame me for it? But then again, this princess doesn't seem to have provoked little sister Yun, right? Ever since little sister entered the palace, this princess had never appeared in her intoxicated flower pavilion. Every time, it was little sister who took the initiative to find this princess. Wasn't it little sister who took the initiative to talk to this princess just now? It was best for His Highness to advise his little sister. Since she was pregnant, she should stay in the intoxicated flower pavilion to take care of the fetus. She shouldn't go out much, so that she could safely give birth. That's right, on a day like today, the sun is this hot, and the wind is this strong. My little sister isn't resting in her room and instead running to the horse track to bask in the sun and wind. If something really happens, then it's her own fault, it has nothing to do with this princess. Chapter 226. His face turned white and red, red and white. After a while, he coldly said, In short, stay far away from her for me. This princess will naturally stay far away from her. This princess' nose is very sensitive. Don't look at how fragrant my little sister is, when she comes close, I can smell the smell of feces that can't be washed off. It's a pity for my little sister's hands. I think the food she makes will also have that smell on it, right? It really is a pity that someone can eat it. Qin Ning. You. Shut up for this king. Chu Xiaoyang felt the veins on his forehead pop out. His blood rushed to his head and his handsome face turned red. He tightly clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. He was like an angry lion as he stared at Qin Ning. Damn it, what was this woman's tongue made of? The words that came out of his mouth could anger him to death. No wonder Qin Baiyun was not her match. Even he felt that he was inferior. He really wanted to make some mute medicine and poison her, making her unable to speak for the rest of her life. Your Highness, what were we talking about before? Oh, you said that the way I hold the reins is wrong. Do you think holding the reins like this is correct? Qin Ning casually turned her palms over and placed her thumbs on the horse's reins. Her fingers were slender and her palms were white, with a faint blush on them. The delicate skin and the rough reins formed a clear contrast. Chu Xiaoyang looked at her for a while and then slowly nodded. Next, hold the horse's abdomen with your legs and use your heels to lightly touch the horse's abdomen. The horse will receive the signal to start running. If you want it to stop, then tighten the reins. He suppressed his anger and began to seriously teach her the basics of riding a horse. He wanted her to be convinced of her defeat on the day of the big hunt. One of them was focused on teaching and the other was focused on learning. They no longer argued with each other and there was a short period of harmony between the two of them. Chu Xiaoyang even mounted the jade flower horse and personally demonstrated. He taught as he walked, correcting Qin Ning whenever she did something wrong. The sky was blue and the wind was gentle. The two of them riding side by side looked like a beautiful painting from afar. Under the shade of the tree, Chen Baiyun's eyes seemed like they were about to spit out flames. Her long nails dug deep into her palms, but she did not notice it. Lan Xiang standing beside her couldn't help saying, "Concubine consort, the princess is truly a cheap person." That's right, she really is cheap. There was no one around. Chen Baiyun did not hide the hatred in her heart as she stared at Qin Ning with gritted teeth. She's so ugly, but she's still trying to seduce His Highness in front of Your Highness. She's clearly not putting Your Highness in her eyes. This servant can't stand it anymore and really feels wronged for Your Highness. An ugly monster like the princess will never be able to fly up to the top of the tree and become a phoenix. The official princess golden crown should belong to Your Highness. Chen Bai shut. Is this something that you, a servant, should say? If His Highness heard this, what kind of person would this concubine become? Chen Baiyun scolded Lan Xiang, but there was a flash of light in her eyes. Good elder sister, you look very proud right now. As your little sister, I want to see just how long you can be proud for. She stared at Qin Ning on the horse's back and spoke in a soft voice, whispering into her ear. Lan Xiang's eyes lit up and she happily said, "Concubine consort, could it be?" Chapter 227. The two of them did not notice Chen Baiyun at all. Even Chu Xiaoyang had forgotten that there was someone like this on the horse track. He was completely shocked by Qin Ning's learning and comprehension skills. If it wasn't for the fact that he personally saw that it was her first time riding a horse, he would have thought that she was pretending to be stupid. He had never seen anyone reach Qin Ning's level on their second ride. It was like she was one with the horse, cooperating very well. You're learning very quickly. Chu Xiaoyang turned his head and looked at Qin Ning with an expressionless face. This time, he did not avoid looking at her face that looked like an actress. Strangely enough, as he got used to her ugly face, he slowly accepted it. Thank you for the praise. Qin Ning's eyes curved into a smile. The feeling of riding the horse made her feel very comfortable and she felt that he was more pleasing to the eye than usual. You've taught me quite well. But if you want to win against this king in the hunt, you're dreaming. Chu Xiaoyang raised his chin and arrogantly said, if you want to win the hunt, you can't just rely on riding skills. No matter how good your riding skills are, you will still lose that day without a doubt. Your Highness, don't be too confident. Otherwise, your face will be slapped painfully and it will be hard to tell who will win on that day. Qin Ning smiled as she raised her whip and slapped the horse's butt. The blue and white porcelain horse neighed and flew out, leaving Chu Xiaoyang behind. That date red horse, this princess will definitely take it. The wind carried her clear and melodious voice that was filled with ambition. Chu Xiaoyang narrowed his eyes. Looking at her heroic figure on the horse's back, his lips unknowingly curled into a smile. Suddenly, the smile on his lips froze and his eyes released a cold glow. His legs clamped down on the horse's abdomen and the jade flower horse shot out like lightning, chasing after Qin Ning. Qin Ning, cheap woman. Stop for me. Rein in the horse. Quickly rein in the horse. If you dare harm a single hair on Yun-er's head, this king will take your life. Chu Xiaoyang's loud roar was deafening. It was like thunder exploding on a clear day, rumbling and rumbling. Everyone on the horse track was stunned. They saw Chen Ning and her horse charge out of the track, charging right at Chen Baiyun under the tree. Chen Baiyun and Lan Xiang were scared stiff, not moving at all like wooden statues. Stop! Stop! Chen Ning desperately pulled on the reins on the horse, but the blue and white porcelain horse did not react at all. Instead, it ran even faster. Its four hooves raised up, sending dust flying. Its target was Chen Baiyun, as if it had a deep hatred for Chen Baiyun. It charged at Chen Baiyun. Its target was Chen Baiyun's head. Your Highness, save me. The blue and white porcelain was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, it was already in front of her. She did not even have a chance to dodge. She saw the blue and white porcelain stand up and raise its front hooves high up, stomping down at Chen Baiyun. Chen Ning's heart almost jumped out. She desperately pulled on the horse, watching as Chen Baiyun was about to die under the iron hooves of the blue and white porcelain horse, but she was powerless. Her mind was in a mess, and she couldn't figure out what was going on. Why did the blue and white porcelain suddenly go crazy and charge at Chen Baiyun without any rhyme or reason? In everyone's eyes, this was all done on purpose. It was all because of her jealousy that she wanted to kill Chen Baiyun, so she deliberately charged at Chen Baiyun. Chapter 228. This change happened too quickly and no one could react in time. The horse grooms were all on the other side of the horse track, so they couldn't save Chen Baiyun at all. Seeing that Chen Baiyun was about to be trampled by the horse. In an instant, Chu Xiaoyang's horse had already caught up. He jumped off the back of the horse and grabbed Chen Baiyun. At the same time, he sent out a palm strike that hit the blue and white porcelain horse's abdomen. His palm was very strong and it sent the several hundred-pound horse and Chen Ning on its back flying into the air. The blue and white porcelain horse was hit by his palm that could split stone. Its organs were all shattered, but it did not die. It gave a pitiful cry in the air, sounding very sad. Chen Ning was thrown off the horse's back. She was thrown high into the air and then she fell to the ground. As long as this fall landed, it would definitely break her bones and break her tendons. Even if she didn't die, she would at least be paralyzed. Only Chu Xiaoyang knew martial arts here and only he could save her. But Chu Xiaoyang was tightly holding the trembling Chen Baiyun in his arms. His eyes were cold and emotionless as he looked at Chen Ning in the air with a trace of hatred. It was like his feet were rooted to the ground, not moving at all, allowing her to fall from the sky. Chen Ning looked at the blue sky and white clouds above her head. Her lips curled into a bitter smile. Was she going to die like this? Perhaps if she died, she would be able to return to her original world. She closed her eyes and allowed the wind to blow past her ears as she allowed herself to fall rapidly. She thought that she would be smashed to pieces. However, she didn't. The force of her fall suddenly stopped, and her whole body fell into a strong and thick chest. Someone used his own body to catch her, shielding her body from the fall. That person held her and rolled several times on the ground. After reducing the force of her fall, he protected her as she stood up. Chen Ning opened her eyes in a daze. Xiaohei, it's you. She softly cried out. The person who had appeared out of nowhere to save her was Imo Chuan, who had disappeared last night. There was a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth and his eyes revealed a look of pain. It was clear that the force of her fall was too strong, and even with his deep internal energy, he could not bear it and suffered internal injuries. But he still did not hesitate to use his body as a cushion, forcibly withstanding the huge force of the fall for her. Xiaohei, you. Why are you like this? Chen Ning's throat felt like it was blocked by something. She could not even finish her sentence. Last time, he had also saved her from the back of a horse, but this time was completely different. This time, it was equivalent to using his own life to exchange for hers. She stared at him in a daze, her vision gradually blurring until she could barely make out his face. It turned out that unknowingly, her eyes were already filled with tears. She couldn't describe the feeling in her heart. She could only tightly bite her lips to prevent her tears from flowing out. Actually, he didn't owe her anything at all. On the other hand, she owed him over and over again, but she had never paid him back even once. Although he had saved her twice, she didn't feel much gratitude towards him. Instead, she had always been very wary of him. Even when she brought him into the Wang Fu as a bodyguard, she had her own selfish motives. He didn't have to save her, but he did it without hesitation. He didn't have to appear, but he appeared when she needed him the most. Chen Ning could not think of an answer. To her, he had always been an unsolved mystery. She had never been able to guess it. Chapter 229. Are you injured? Mo Chuan lowered his head. His black eyes were like ink that could not be melted as he stared right at her. Seeing the tears in her eyes, he couldn't help slightly knit his brows and asked, "Are you hurt from the fall?" "I'm very sorry, I came too late and couldn't save you." "Don't be afraid, from now on, as long as I'm here, I won't let anyone harm a single hair on your head." When he had finished, he straightened his back like an unyielding pine, spreading out his thick branches to shield her from the wind and the rain, to shield her from all the blades of the wind and the swords of the frost. Each word he said, each word was a solemn oath. Chen Ning's heart suddenly felt warm and the tears in her eyes almost fell. But she curled her lips and revealed a faint smile at Mo Chuan. Her cherry lips gently spat out 3 words, "Thank you." What she owed him, it was not something that could be returned with just these 3 words. But she was not in a rush. She would deeply remember his kindness in her heart. Mo Chuan did not let go of her. She was still lying in his arms, floating like a cloud. He did not feel her weight at all and did not think of putting her down. The people on the horse track were all stunned by this sudden change. No one made a sound as they all stared with wide-open eyes at Mo Chuan and Chen Ning in a daze. Where did this black-clothed man come from? He really was bold. In front of so many people, especially in front of the prince, he dared to hug the princess and be so lovey-dovey with her. This was clearly dyeing the hat on His Highness' head. Did he not want to live anymore? Or did the princess not want to live anymore? Chu Xiaoyang slowly stood up. He put down Chen Baiyun who had been tightly hugging him and looked at Mo Chuan with an expressionless face. Then he looked at Chen Ning with a cold gaze that seemed like it could turn solid, piercing through Mo Chuan and Chen Ning. Chen Baiyun rubbed her eyes, not daring to believe the scene in front of her. She was so shocked that her chin almost fell off. How was this possible? Chen Ning was clearly about to fall to her death, but where did this wild man come from to save her? But she couldn't help wanting to break out in a proud laugh. Chen Ning, Chen Ning, you really are seeking death. You are hugging a wild man in front of His Highness, isn't this just seeking death? If His Highness could let you live to see tomorrow's sun, then he wouldn't be the cold-blooded and ruthless King Ding Yuan, Chu Xiaoyang. Her eyes turned and as expected, she saw the veins on Chu Xiaoyang's forehead bulging. His eyes almost spat out flames, as if he was about to kill someone at any moment. Chen Ning, Chen Ning, use death. Chen Baiyun gently pulled on Chu Xiaoyang's sleeve and timidly asked, Your Highness, who is that man holding elder sister? Is it be one of our palace guards? In broad daylight like this, where is the propriety? Why did elder sister allow that man to hug you? Her words were like adding oil to a fire, making Chu Xiaoyang who was already on the verge of explode. Chen, I said, Chen, Chen, Yi, Chen, Yi. Chen Baiyun was so scared that she instantly shut her mouth. Her face turned pale, but her heart was filled with pride. Chu Xiaoyang stared right at Chen Ning in Imo Chuan's embrace. He did not even look at Imo Chuan, treating him like a dead person. This was because Imo Chuan was wearing a black robe that looked like the clothes of his palace's guards. Bastard, let go of this king's princess and this king will leave you with a complete corpse. Chu Xiaoyang's body released a 10,000-year cold aura. Step by step, he walked over to Imo Chuan. His fists were clenched and there was the sound of bones cracking. It was clear that he was truly enraged. Chapter 230. The cold aura coming from Imo Chuan was even heavier than Chu Xiaoyang's, and there was also a cold killing intent coming from him. He stood there without moving. He gently put Chen Ning down and then pushed her behind him. This action made Chu Xiaoyang even angrier. Your princess. What qualifications do you have to say she's your princess? Imo Chuan's voice was even colder than Chu Xiaoyang's. Each word he said was filled with power. For a concubine, you sent her flying with a single palm strike. You watched her fall from the sky and didn't save her, so what qualifications do you have to say she's your princess? How do you have the face to open your mouth? He cursed to his heart's content and the surrounding people were all stunned. The horse grooms couldn't help shaking their ears and rubbing their eyes. They suspected that they were dreaming. Because they never would have dreamed that there would be someone in this world that dared to point at His Highness' nose and curse at him. Chen Ning's eyes lit up and she almost wanted to applaud Imo Chuan's words. Wow! So cool! Every single word of his had struck deep into her heart. These words were like a series of large slaps, slapping Chu Xiaoyang's cheeks. Chu Xiaoyang's face was red and filled with anger. His handsome face became twisted as his eyes finally fell onto Imo Chuan's face and he slowly opened his mouth. If this king lets you die like this king isn't surnamed Chu. The anger in his chest almost ignited his entire body. Other than anger, there was also an indescribable emotion in his heart. Especially when he saw this man holding Chen Ning and the two of them whispering to each other, completely ignoring everyone around them. He couldn't help wanting to kill someone. That was his princess, his woman. Even if he didn't want her and threw her away, he wouldn't allow anyone to touch her. Imo Chuan stood in front of Chen Ning like a mountain. Facing Chu Xiaoyang, who was filled with killing intent, he did not take half a step back. Chu! He gave a cold laugh and his voice was as cold as ice. Are you worthy of this surname? Seeking death. Imo Chuan's words were like adding oil to a fire, making all of Chu Xiaoyang's blood rush to his head. His eyes almost popped out of his head as his right hand touched his waist and a cold glowing sword appeared in his hand. The sword glow was like water as it flowed endlessly, reflecting the sunlight with a cold glow. The sword was as soft as a snake as it danced in the air. They could only hear the sound of cold breaths being sucked in. The horse grooms around them were all shocked. Even Chen Baiyun never would have thought that Chu Xiaoyang would carry a soft sword on his waist. Chu Xiaoyang was proud and arrogant. Adding in his strong martial arts, this spirit snake sword that could cut through iron like mud had been kept close to his body, but he had never used it in the last 10 years. He wanted to kill today. He wanted to him. He just wanted to kill. He just wanted to kill this black-clothed man in this. His right hand trembled and the soft snake-like sword suddenly became straight, stabbing at Imo Chuan's right wrist. The spirit snake sword was filled with internal energy as it whistled through the air. Before the sword arrived, the sound had already arrived. This sword was filled with anger and its might was unstoppable. Although Chu Xiaoyang hated Imo Chuan, this sword was not aimed at Imo Chuan's vital points. He was not willing to kill Imo Chuan with this sword, he wanted to cut off Imo Chuan's tendons first and turn him into a cripple. Then in front of Qin Ning, he would cut off all 10 of his fingers, cut off his hands, and then cut off his arms. Chapter 231. He wanted Qin Ning to personally see this man bleed, wail, and beg for mercy in front of her. He wanted her to watch this man slowly be tortured to death. He wanted to let Qin Ning see how this man would be chopped into meat paste and then be eaten by his beloved dog. He wanted everyone to see what kind of ending would befall anyone that wanted to touch his Chu Xiaoyang's woman. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes revealed a cold glow and his lips curled into a cruel smile, as if he could already see this scene. The sword in his hand was like a poisonous snake, instantly stabbing in front of Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan did not dodge at all. It was unknown if he was scared by Chu Xiaoyang's attack or if he did not have time to dodge at all. Xiao Hei, be careful. Although she had seen Mo Chuan's superb martial arts, seeing Chu Xiaoyang's incomparably sharp sword with blood flowing out of his eyes, Qin Ning's heart couldn't help jumping up. The reminder she blurted out made Chu Xiaoyang even more furious. She was his princess, his woman, but she was warning another man. Did she still have His Highness and her husband in her eyes? Cheap woman, this king will kill him first and then kill you. He gave a wild roar and the spirit snake sword's tip was already stabbing into Mo Chuan's wrist. Chu Xiaoyang revealed a fiendish smile. What is going on? Suddenly his smile froze and his eyes opened wide as he stared at the tip of his sword. The sword tip did not stab into Mo Chuan's skin. Rather like a magic trick, it was caught between Mo Chuan's fingers and stopped there, not moving at all. Chu Xiaoyang used all his strength to pull back, but it was like the sword was stuck in Mo Chuan's fingers and he could not pull it back at all. His heart was filled with shock and he sent all his strength into his right arm. Pulling it back, he suddenly shouted, "Withdraw the sword." "All right, I'll withdraw the sword." Mo Chuan gave a cold smile and his fingers suddenly loosened. Chu Xiaoyang used all his strength this time, but who would have thought that he would pull empty air? All the blood in his body flowed backwards and his chest heavily trembled, like he had been hit by a giant hammer. He couldn't help opening his mouth and spitting out a mouthful of blood with a "wah" sound. Everyone was shocked, not understanding what had just happened at all. They only saw His Highness stab at the black-clothed man with his sword and the man used 2 fingers to catch His Highness' sword. Then His Highness shouted, "Withdraw the sword," and the man obediently withdrew his sword. In the end, His Highness spat out a mouthful of blood as if he was seriously injured. What was going on? The others could not understand, but Chu Xiaoyang, Chu Xiaochuan, could not understand. The rage and killing intent on his face had unknowingly vanished, and it was replaced by a wisp of seriousness. He held his chest, took a deep breath, and slowly exhaled. Just by circulating his inner breath, he already knew that he had suffered serious internal injuries. This was in Chuan Chu of him. Although Mo Chuan had only revealed this one move from beginning to end, which was using 2 fingers to catch the tip of his sword, when experts exchanged moves, a single move was enough to decide victory and life and death. Mo Chuan's move of borrowing strength was even more ingenious. He had grasped the perfect timing and allowed Chu Xiaoyang to use his own internal energy to injure his organs. This move not only meant that Mo Chuan's martial arts were very high, but his mind was also very agile. Chapter 232. Who are you? How did you sneak into this king's palace? Who sent you to assassinate this king? Chu Xiaoyang's eyes stared right at Mo Chuan. With such a high level of skill, he could not be a guard of his palace, he had to be an assassin from outside. His first reaction was that the other side wanted to kill him. Assassinate you? Mo Chuan softly raised his brows and asked back, "Are you worthy?" He did not look at Chu Xiaoyang from the corner of his eyes as he turned to Qin Ning and said, "I'll send you back." Chu Xiaoyang was ignored once again and he almost went crazy with rage. If it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid of Mo Chuan's unfathomable martial arts, he would have already charged forward. Even if it was like this, his right hand that was holding the sword was already trembling and the spirit snake sword was like a snake. Chen Ning, do you still have any face? As this king's princess, you actually shamelessly hooked up with a man. This man is the wild man you brought to the Flowing Cloud Pavilion last night, right? This king is telling you, as long as you are this king's princess, you will forever be this king's woman. If you want to be together with this wild man, don't even think about it. This king will announce your scandal to the world and let everyone know that you, the young miss of the Qin family's country-protecting palace, Chen Ning, is a real slut who hooks up with men. Chu Xiaoyang stared at Mo Chuan and Chen Ning's disappearing backs as he loudly cursed. Flustered and exasperated, he blurted out such vulgar words. Everyone's jaws almost dropped when they heard it. They looked at His Highness in a daze, not daring to believe that these words would come out of His Highness' mouth. They never thought that the cold and noble Highness would actually curse like a hoodlum on the streets. Ze, the crows in the world were all black. Men all reacted the same when they were cuckolded, even the noble Highness was not spared. Chu Xiaoyang shouted at the top of his lungs, but Chen Ning and Mo Chuan could clearly hear him. Paw! Everyone only saw a blur before their eyes, followed by a heavy and crisp sound. Chu Xiaoyang covered his right cheek and looked at Mo Chuan, who had suddenly appeared in front of him in disbelief. He was about to angrily curse, but before he could even open his mouth, the left side of his face was heavily slapped. Paw! This sound was even louder than the previous one and it was even heavier. A trace of blood came out from the corner of Chu Xiaoyang's mouth. He was completely dumbfounded. The golden crown that bound his hair had been knocked off by these two slaps. His hair was disheveled, and his appearance was a mess. Chu Xiaoyang did not dare believe it, he had really been slapped in the face. He was the dignified King Ding Yuan, the emperor's blood-related nephew. He had actually been slapped twice in the face by a wild man that came out of nowhere. And it was in front of everyone's eyes. Chu Xiaoyang's face was burning hot. The pain was only a small part of it, it was mainly because of his embarrassment. When the servants saw this scene, their jaws dropped to the ground. Their Highness! Their Highness! This! Chen Baiyun came back to her senses and realized that the situation was bad. She called Lan Xiang and told her to quickly return to the palace and call His Highness guards to protect Chu Xiaoyang. Mo Chuan had already seen it from the corner of his eyes, but he ignored it. You dare hit this king, you brat, you must be tired of living. Offending this king for that shameless woman, do you know what your end will be? Chu Xiaoyang's words were squeezed out from between his teeth. His voice was ice cold and his eyes were filled with poison. Chapter 233. Exterminating your family, do you have the ability? Mo Chuan gave a contemptuous smile. He walked straight at Chu Xiaoyang as a sharp aura was released from his body. Chu Xiaoyang couldn't help taking 2 steps back. His face turned white and his heart filled with an inexplicable fear. Who was this man? The killing intent coming from him was truly terrifying. I won't kill you because you're not worthy. Mo Chuan coldly and arrogantly raised his chin as he looked at Chu Xiaoyang with contempt. The famous King Ding Yuan actually dares to say this kind of rude and uneducated words. You're simply throwing away the face of the royal family. I've really overestimated you. These 2 slaps are for you to remember. People will always be humiliated by others. You better behave yourself. Chu Xiaoyang went crazy with rage. His eyes turned red as he shouted, I don't know where this wild man came from. What qualifications do you have to teach this king a lesson? Who do you think you are? The emperor. He did not care as he raised the spirit snake sword and stabbed at Mo Chuan. His heart was filled with hatred and he wished he could stab a hole in his body. Although he was filled with anger, his sword art was very exquisite. This sword move was very agile and the spirit snake sword turned into countless dots of light, just like a blossoming pear flower. Mo Chuan gave a cold laugh and his body floated up, dodging his sword. When he landed on the ground, there was a willow branch in his hand. There were several yellow willow buds on the soft branch. Unrepentant thing, I'll use this willow branch to teach you a lesson today. Mo Chuan shook the willow branch in his hand. When Chu Xiaoyang saw this, his chest almost exploded with rage. This man did not place him in his eyes at all. He actually used a broken willow branch to deal with his spirit snake sword that could cut through iron like mud. Alright, you're seeking death. When you go to King Yama, don't blame this king for not warning you. Chu Xiaoyang's face was as calm as water. With a flick of his wrist, the spirit snake sword turned into a long snake that bit at Mo Chuan. His sword looked normal, but there were 9 powerful moves behind it. If the other side did not take out a weapon to block it, it would be hard for them to block the endless killing moves. If Mo Chuan had a treasure sword in his hand, it would not be hard to deal with this move. He would only need to use his 2 swords to block it, but Mo Chuan's weapon was only a willow branch and it would break when it touched the blade. Mo Chuan knew how strong this move was. With a cold laugh, he shook the willow branch in his hand. He did not dodge it and charged at the spirit snake sword. Chu Xiaoyang slashed out with his sword, thinking that he would cut the willow branch in half. Who would have thought that he would cut empty air and the sword in his hand suddenly sank, as if something heavy was wrapped around it. His heart shuddered. He saw that the willow branch seemed to be glued to his long sword. He changed a few sword moves, but he couldn't shake it off. Moreover, the sword became heavier and heavier, to the point that he almost couldn't lift it. What kind of strange move was this? Chu Xiaoyang's heart was filled with shock. He wanted to let go of the sword, but Mo Chuan did not give him a chance. The willow branch in his hand slightly flicked and the spirit snake sword flew out of Chu Xiaoyang's hand. It flew straight up and it was like a dancing silver snake flying into the sky. Chapter 234. You better clean your mouth in the future. If I hear you insult her again, I won't be as polite as today. Mo Chuan said with an expressionless face. Chu Xiaoyang felt his chest, back, and thighs turn cold. A gust of wind blew by and he suddenly felt a chill. When he looked down, he was shocked. He saw that a large piece of his clothes was missing, revealing his light wheat-colored skin. His back was also cold, so the clothes on his back must have been cut by Mo Chuan's willow branch. What made him feel the most embarrassed was that his 2 bare thighs were exposed to everyone's eyes. This was Mo Chuan being merciful, only cutting off 2 of his trousers. If he had cut off his belt, he would have been naked in front of everyone. Chu Xiaoyang was so embarrassed that he wanted to find a hole to hide in. It was Chen Baiyun who was smart. She quickly took off her cloak and wrapped it around Chu Xiaoyang, preventing him from losing face in front of everyone. Chu Xiaoyang let out a sigh of relief and the heat on his face disappeared. He gratefully looked at Chen Baiyun. Just based on this point, that cheap woman Chen Ning could never compare to Yun. After exchanging a few moves with Mo Chuan, he knew that if they were to fight, his martial arts could not compare to the other side. A wise man did not fight when the odds were against him. He temporarily swallowed his anger and remembered this debt. For a gentleman to take revenge, 10 years was not too late. Chen Ning, you are jealous of Yun, so you used your horse to kill Yun, Not only did this king see it, everyone here saw it. Even if this matter was reported to the emperor, you would still be sentenced to death. A woman's heart is the most vicious in the world. I didn't expect you to be so vicious. Yun is pregnant with this prince's child, yet you're still so ruthless. almost causing her to lose both her life. Let this prince tell you, this matter will not end like this. Chu Xiaoyang had suffered a large loss under Mo Chuan's hands. He did not dare provoke Mo Chuan again, so he aimed his spear at Qin Ning. Chen Baiyun took 2 steps forward like a willow in the wind. Tears flowed down as she held her stomach and said, "Elder sister, little sister has never offended elder sister, so why must elder sister treat little sister so ruthlessly? Even if His Highness dotes on little sister and makes elder sister angry, this unborn child is still innocent." The 2 of them were accusing Qin Ning of using her horse to kill people out of jealousy. Qin Ning couldn't help wanting to laugh. Her eyes fell onto the blue and white porcelain horse that had stopped breathing. The horse was already dead, so there was no proof. Know what she said. If it wasn't for the horse not reacting when she pulled it several times, perhaps she would have thought it was on purpose. But she was certain that this matter was not an accident, but rather it was a very well. This was not a bad thing, she would not take it. Bai Yun, you are my younger sister. I don't even have time to dote on you. Why would I hurt you and the child in your womb? Do you think I'm such a heartless person? It was obvious that someone wanted to frame me and kill me with a borrowed knife, eliminating both of us in one fell swoop. This person is very vicious and has ulterior motives. Your Highness, little sister, this matter was caused by me, so give me 3 days. In 3 days, I will definitely find this person and hand him over to your Highness and little sister to deal with. Chen Ning knew that White Lotus had good acting skills, but her own acting skills were not bad either. These words immediately shut the mouths of the surrounding people who were discussing among themselves. Chapter 235. Chen Ning softly said, "It doesn't matter if your Highness doesn't believe this princess. In 3 days, if I can't find that person, I will give your Highness and little sister an explanation. At that time, you can cut me open or cut me into 10,000 pieces, you can do whatever you want. But I only have one request." Chen Baiyun's heart was filled with joy as she blurted out, "What request?" Chen Ning's eyes paused on her face for a second before she revealed a faint smile and said, "In these 3 days, everything must be as normal. There can be no strange movements in the palace, to avoid alerting the enemy. This is because I believe that the person secretly plotting this is hiding in the palace. Your Highness, little sister, can you fulfill this request?" Chen Baiyun wanted to say something, but Chu Xiaoyang glared at her and she immediately lowered her head. Everything must be as normal. Does this mean that you'll come to the horse track tomorrow and this king will continue to teach you how to ride? Chu Xiaoyang immediately understood Chen Ning's meaning. "I don't need you to teach me. I just want you to personally see how this princess finds that person." Chen Ning did not even look at him and spoke in a cold voice. It was like she was a completely different person from before when she was smiling at him. Chu Xiaoyang's heart instantly felt blocked. Although she looked very ugly when she smiled, her cold face made him feel even more uncomfortable. "All right, this king will give you 3 days," he angrily said. Chen Ning ignored him and turned to Mo Chuan to say, "Let's go." She had just taken 2 steps when her body suddenly tilted and she almost fell to the ground. Mo Chuan rushed forward to support her and said in a concerned voice, "What's wrong?" Chen Ning did not reply. She gritted her teeth and continued forward, not even looking back. Mo Chuan's eyes changed. "Your foot is injured." He noticed that her right foot did not dare touch the ground. Although she hit it very well, he could still see it with his sharp eyes. "Let me take a look." He grabbed her right foot without saying anything and rolled up her trousers to take a look. He saw that her snow-white ankle was swollen, turning blue and purple. His eyes instantly turned cold as he coldly looked at Chu Xiaoyang. Although Chu Xiaoyang's palm had hit the blue and white porcelain horse's belly, a small part of it had hit Chen Ning's ankle. "It's fine, it's not a big problem." I just need to apply some medicine when I go back. Chen Ning calmly put down her trousers and endured the pain to get up to leave. I'll send you back. Mo Chuan did not even think as he reached out with his arms and hugged her across his chest. Seeing this, Chu Xiaoyang's eyes were filled with rage and he could not suppress it. Chen Ning, you are very good. A dignified princess was actually hugging a wild man. Ben Wang wants to write a letter to General Shen and ask him how his Hugua manor raised a lady like you. T Chen and Chin S Chen's SS to T, but he's T. Mo Chuan's footsteps stopped. He turned around and angrily said, You really can't change your ways. Shao T say. I teat. Ute. Chen. He looked at Chen Ning with a puzzled expression. He didn't understand what she meant, but he followed her orders and let her down. Chu Xiaoyang. Chen Ning suddenly looked right at Chu Xiaoyang. Her eyes were as cold as ice and there was not a trace of a smile on her face. She slowly limped over to him and stopped 3 feet in front of him. Chapter 236. Chu Xiaoyang, listen to me clearly. He is called Xiao He and is my personal bodyguard, not some wild man. I, Chen Ning, walk straight and sit upright. As long as I am the princess of the King Ding Yuan Palace, I will not do anything that will lose my Chen family's face. If you continue to slander me and Xiao He, I will fight you to the death. Chu Xiaoyang, if you don't like me, you can divorce me. But if you want to slander me and slander my character, that's absolutely not allowed. She spat out each word with force. Her voice was clear and her eyes were filled with determination as she stared at Chu Xiaoyang without blinking. Chu Xiaoyang was stunned. Chen Baiyun was also stunned. The horse grooms and servants present were also stunned. Chen Ning raised her chin high up. Her face was still covered in ugly makeup, but her entire body was filled with a glow that could not be ignored. That strong aura made people completely ignore her face. Her eyes were black and white, just like clear spring water. There was not a single impurity in them as they clearly swept across the entire crowd, including Chu Xiaoyang. I'll say it one last time. I, Chen Ning, am a pure person, the heavens and earth can prove it. If any shady words are spread from today onwards, no matter who it is, this princess will not let anyone here go. Her words were said in a domineering manner. Everyone who was swept by her gaze believed her words without a shred of doubt. Even if they did not believe her, they would believe the unfathomable black-clothed man beside her. If they dared to provoke this kind of man, they were truly seeking death. Mo Chuan stared at the glowing Chen Ning and it was like his chest had been hit by something. He violently trembled and a strange feeling filled his heart. This was a Chen Ning that he did not recognize at all. She was proud, she had her own pride, and she had a bottom line that he could not touch. In his life, this was the first time he had seen this kind of girl. Without saying a word, he walked over and once again carried her across his chest. He was very careful not to touch her wounds, as if he was carrying a rare treasure. He turned around and walked away with large strides. Chen Ning did not struggle or resist. She silently leaned against Mo Chuan's chest and closed her eyes, giving a silent sigh. The wind lifted the corners of her light blue clothes, causing them to shine with a golden light. Chu Xiaoyang stood in the same spot and looked at her fluttering clothes. His heart felt empty, as if something was missing. Even after so many years, it was still as clear as yesterday when he recalled it. It was a pity that he did not know what he had lost in that moment. Chen Ning and Mo Chuan had left for a long time. Chu Xiaoyang was still standing in the horse field. His eyes stared in the direction Chen Ning disappeared in. He did not move at all, as if he had turned into a stone. The horse field was completely silent, with only the sound of the wind could be heard. The horse grooms all retreated far away. No one dared to talk to him, even Chen Baiyun didn't have the courage. Her heart was filled with hatred towards Chen Ning, especially when she saw Chu Xiaoyang's disappointed expression. Her internal organs felt like they were being bitten by a poisonous snake. She must kill that cheap woman. I can't let her live another day in this world. However, that slut suddenly had such a highly skilled black-clothed bodyguard by her side. If she wanted to achieve her goal, it would not be so easy. Chapter 237. Chen Baiyun slowly walked over to Chu Xiaoyang's side and said in a soft voice, "Your Highness, Yun and elder sister have grown up together, so Yun knows what kind of person elder sister is. The person she admires the most is your Highness, and there has never been a second man in elder sister's heart, so Yun believes that elder sister is innocent and that there is nothing ambiguous between her and that guard. Your Highness, please believe elder sister and please believe Yun." Her words were filled with sincerity, and every word she said was what Chu Xiaoyang liked to hear the most. The muscles on his face began to loosen and he finally revealed an expression. He looked down at Chen Baiyun and slowly nodded. "You're right. She is this king's princess and the daughter of the country protecting Duke, Great General Qin. This king doesn't think she would dare do anything that would bring shame to the family." Hearing this, Chen Baiyun's eyes suddenly flashed with an awkward look and she unknowingly shrank back. At this time, Lan Xiang brought the late guards to the horse track and found that Qin Ning and Mo Chuan had disappeared. Useless thing. Chen Baiyun vented all her anger on Lan Xiang. She slapped her across the face, causing Lan Xiang to stumble. "They're already gone, what's the use of coming here now?" she shouted. Lan Xiang covered her face. Her stomach was filled with grievances, but she did not dare explain. Chen Baiyun had hit someone without thinking in her rage, losing her bearing. It was completely different from the gentle side she usually showed to Chu Xiaoyang. After she slapped her, she came to her senses and quickly looked over at Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang was absent-minded, not paying attention to what she had just said or done. Chen Baiyun secretly let out a sigh of relief. Her eyes turned and she placed her hand on her stomach as she gave a soft cry, "I-oh." Chu Xiaoyang's attention was attracted by her. He supported her and asked, "Yun, what's wrong?" "Perhaps I was frightened and my stomach is a bit uncomfortable." Chen Baiyun slightly knit her brows and revealed a pitiful expression. "Lan Xiang, quickly call the doctor over." Chu Xiaoyang instantly became nervous. After giving this order to Lan Xiang, he picked Chen Baiyun up. His posture was the same as Mo Chuan carrying Qin Ning, and he walked over to the intoxicated flower pavilion. Chen Baiyun's heart filled with sweetness as she reached out to grab his neck. Without knowing why, the scene from before flashed in Chu Xiaoyang's eyes. His arms suddenly turned stiff and he stopped. But he did not look back as he carried Chen Baiyun away. The doctor's diagnosis for Chen Baiyun was that she was a bit frightened, but the fetus was fine. Baiyun said in a soft voice, "Chen, don't misunderstand elder sister." Chen Baiyun by Qin Ning's heart. Chen Baiyun said in a voice, "Xiao Chen Baiyun is Chen, Chen Yang is Ling Ling, Ning Yun, Chen Ling 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 Yang said." Chen Baiyun said in a soft voice, "Your Highness, don't misunderstand elder sister. Yun believes that elder sister would not do such a cruel thing to me. Didn't elder sister say it before? She will find the person that wants to harm Yun in 3 days. Yun believes in elder sister." Chu Xiaoyang sat her on his lap and stroked her stomach. In a deep voice, he said, "Yun you are too kind and too soft-hearted. If that cheap woman was even half as gentle and kind as you, this king wouldn't have treated her." He suddenly stopped and swallowed the rest of his words. Then he said as if nothing had happened, "What delicious food do you have here? This king is hungry. There is. Yun has already prepared your highness' favorite dishes. Chen Baiyun revealed a gentle smile. She clapped her hands and called for Lan Xiang to serve the dishes. Chu Xiaoyang stayed in the intoxicated flower pavilion for the entire day. He ate with Chen Baiyun, admired the flowers, and watched the fish. He did not leave even when the lantern in his hand was lit. Chapter 238. Lan Xiang tactfully left early. Before she left, she carefully laid out the bed for the two of them. On the high bed with soft pillows, the two of them slept together. Chen Baiyun's heart was filled with sweetness like she had eaten honey. She turned her head and looked at Chu Xiaoyang's handsome and flawless face, as well as his straight as jade nose. She couldn't help reaching out her hand and reaching into his clothes, feeling his smooth and firm skin. Chu Xiaoyang slightly opened his eyes and held her hand, not letting her move. He revealed a faint smile as he looked at her. Yun, what are you doing? Are you teasing this king? Chen Baiyun's face turned red as she bashfully said, Your Highness, you're making fun of me. Her watery eyes were filled with affection as she glanced at Chu Xiaoyang. Even a blind person could see what she meant. Chu Xiaoyang revealed an evil smile and let out a breath. He blew out the candle in front of the bed and the room instantly became dark. He reached out his arm to pull Chen Baiyun over and let her lean against his chest. He stroked her hair and said, Sleep well. You've been frightened today and the doctor said you need to rest. After saying this, he quietly hugged her and closed his eyes. His breathing slowly calmed down and he quickly fell asleep. Chen Baiyun was instantly stunned. The flames of passion in her body had been poured over her heart. She was in Chu Xiaoyang's embrace, not daring to move at all. But her nose was filled with the scent of his body, making her heart even more filled with love. She felt her body heat up and she wished she could take off all her clothes and let him love her, using as much force as he could. But she did not dare. As a young lady of a noble family, she could not say or do something like taking the initiative to make love. That was something only shameless brothel girls would do. But she really felt very uncomfortable. It was like there were little bugs crawling all over her body, but she couldn't touch them. This itch, there was only one way to solve it. Chen Baiyun bit her lips. The more he hugged her, the more her heart itched. She wanted to move, but she did not dare move. It was so uncomfortable that she almost wanted to cry. This kind of feeling, after tasting it once, it was hard to forget. She could not remember the last time she made love with him. It seemed like ever since she married into the king's palace, he had not touched her at all. Didn't they say that men were greedy cats? Once they tasted something, they would become greedy. But why was it that when he hugged her soft and fragrant body, he would not be moved at all? Chen Baiyun thought about the Angelica deer tail soup that she had spent a lot of effort on but was knocked over and she gritted her teeth in hatred. It's all that cheap person's fault, that cheap person. After an unknown amount of time, she finally suppressed her restlessness and fell into a deep sleep. After she fell asleep, Chu Xiaoyang suddenly opened his eyes and they were filled with clarity. His lips curled into a faint smile as he looked at Chen Baiyun with a taunting gaze. Xiao 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 Qin, he shin of her. Xiao 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 tu. Tang he chu. Chu xiao shin he tu he. This woman actually dared to do this kind of thing for him. He wanted to let her taste what it was like to not have it. Seeing her excited appearance and hearing her heavy breathing, his heart was like an ancient well that did not have any ripples. Instead, he felt that Chen Baiyun's current appearance was very funny. His eyes suddenly darkened and the smile on his lips froze. He wondered what she was doing at this time. Thinking of Qin Ning, his sleepiness disappeared and his eyes turned so cold that they almost turned into ice. Chapter 239. Pain, 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 pain. Oh, be gentler, be gentler. Chen Ning was in so much pain that she was gasping through her teeth. Her snow-white right foot was placed on Imo Chuan's knee. She forcefully pulled back her leg, but Imo Chuan held onto her foot without letting go. Now you know it hurts. Why didn't you make a sound at the horse track? Imo Chuan rolled his eyes at her in annoyance. He held a bottle of bruising cream in his hand and was currently massaging her ankle to improve blood flow. Chen Ning's ankle was swollen like a large steamed bun and tears were about to come out from the pain, but she said with an uncaring expression, "Why would I make a sound? Even if my leg was broken, that man wouldn't even look at it and wouldn't say a single word for me. Why would I show my bloody wound in front of him? In the end, he would just say, 'This wound is really ugly. If it's so ugly, then don't show it to others.'" Xiao Ru's eyes were filled with tears, but when she heard this self-deprecating sentence, she couldn't help laughing. But after she laughed twice, she wanted to cry again. Her heart felt even more uncomfortable than before. That bastard highness really deserves to die. "Young miss, this servant really should have gone with you today. If this servant had gone, young miss wouldn't have been injured." She wiped her tears as she leaned against Chen Ning's leg. The more she looked, the more her heart hurt. Her voice was filled with tears. "Silly girl, speaking nonsense." Chen Ning smiled as she rubbed Xiao Ru's hair. "All right, I'm fine. You should go rest now." Xiao Ru shook her head. "This servant wants to stay here with the young miss. You're not a doctor, my leg won't heal faster even if you stay here. Obediently go to sleep and listen to me." Chen Ning sent Xiao Ru away like she was coaxing a child. Then she turned to look at Imo Chuan. "Xiao He, you should also go to sleep. Give me the bruising cream, I'll rub it myself." Imo Chuan did not reply. He did not even look up as he continued his hand movements. His right palm was placed over her ankle and he secretly circulated his internal energy. He sent a gentle wave of energy into his palm, helping her dissolve the medicine. Chen Ning gave a comfortable sigh. She felt like her right foot was soaking in a pool of warm water as a warm feeling spread throughout her limbs. "Xiao He, your massage technique is really good. If you don't want to be an assassin in the future, you should be a masseuse instead. Perhaps you'll earn more money than killing people." Chen Ning gave a yawn as she spoke in a drowsy voice. Imo Chuan's lips twitched, but he continued to massage her like nothing had happened, not making a sound. "To tell the truth, Xiao He, I thought you would kill him today." Chen Ning closed her eyes and the scenes from the horse track began to appear in her mind. Imo Chuan softly said, "I won." After a pause, she continued, "Because he didn't pay." "Who?" Chen Ning couldn't help laughing. She opened her eyes and looked at Imo Chuan with a funny expression. Xiao Heed. Tian, I, and Xiao Ning, of course. Although I kill people for free, I never kill people like him for free. Imo Chuan replied in a serious manner. Chen Ning smiled. She felt that not only was Imo Chuan mysterious, his words were also very interesting. He was not like the first time she met him, he was like a cold piece of wood. When she thought of how he had saved her today, her heart warmed up. Cook, Xiao He, are your injuries heavy?" She looked at him with a worried expression. He was wearing a human skin mask, so she couldn't see his expression, but his eyes were filled with spirit. "It's already healed," he calmly said. Chapter 240. Imo Chuan nodded. "It's just a little shock to my organs, it's nothing. If I had arrived earlier, your leg wouldn't have become like this. Can you tell me what happened today?" Chu Xiaoyang said that you wanted to kill his beloved concubine, but I believe that you are not that kind of person. What happened? Chen Ning's heart couldn't help trembling. He said he believed her, but they were strangers that had only known each other for a short period of time, but he chose to believe her without any hesitation. On the other hand, looking at Chu Xiaoyang, he thought that she was the culprit without a single question. He wanted to kill Chen Baiyun's murderer and mercilessly wanted her dead. Comparing the two of them, it was clear who was stronger. She slowly shook her head. I don't know what happened. That horse suddenly went out of my control and charged at Chen Baiyun. I couldn't stop it no matter how I pulled on the reins. Everything happened like this, and even now, I still can't understand what happened. After pausing for a bit, she curled her lips and said with a cold smile, even if I wanted Chen Baiyun dead, I wouldn't have chosen this kind of stupid method. I killed his beloved woman in front of him with a horse. Was I stupid or was he stupid? Mo Chuan nodded again and said in a serious voice, I know and I believe you. There must be something strange about this matter. But I don't understand what is strange. Why did that blue and white porcelain horse suddenly go crazy? Why did it not hit anyone else and only hit Chen Baiyun? This matter is definitely related to Chen Baiyun. I used words to test her and she immediately revealed a flaw, so there is no doubt that she is the culprit of this matter. What I don't understand is how she did it. Why did Chu Xiaoyang's horse not go crazy and only my horse went crazy? Chen Ning tapped her chin with her finger, thinking about it while tapping. Mo Chuan looked at her in a daze and couldn't help asking, you tested her? Which one was it? I didn't recognize it. Chen Ning said with a smile, this is a kind of psychological tactic. I deliberately said that I would find the culprit within 3 days, but there was a condition. She immediately asked what the condition was and just this one sentence made her confess. If this matter wasn't done by her, she wouldn't have been so eager to say it. Mo Chuan did not say anything and just looked at her with a strange gaze. He understood her words, but he couldn't understand it. She seemed to have an ability that allowed her to easily determine if something was true or false. From the first time he saw her, she gave him a strong feeling. His eyes could be considered to have seen countless people, but when he met the 3 swindlers on the street, he did not notice it at all, but she pointed it out. He was not convinced at the time, but the more he interacted, the more he could not ignore this ability. Her eyes seemed to have the power to see through people's hearts. Could it be that there was really mind-reading in this world? He suddenly avoided her gaze, as if afraid that she would see through his thoughts. Everyone had the instinct to protect themselves. They didn't want others to see their inner thoughts easily, and he was no exception. She could easily tell what he was thinking about. She felt it was funny and couldn't help but tease him. Chapter 241. Of course I'm not afraid. He quickly replied. Since you're not afraid of me, why don't you look into my eyes? Are you afraid that I can see through your heart? All right, now that it's like this, I can only tell you. Your guess isn't wrong, I can read minds. As long as I look at you, I can guess what you're thinking in your heart. Chen Ning purposely put away her smile and spoke in a serious voice. Really? Mo Chuan's heart violently trembled. Once he saw her black and white eyes, he immediately looked away. Ha, 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 ha. Chen Ning couldn't help breaking out in laughter. She laughed so hard that she bent over. I'm dying of laughter. I'm talking nonsense, but you actually believe it. You. Mo Chuan was embarrassed and angry as he suddenly stood up. Chen Ning's right foot fell to the ground. She gave an sound and stood up. After taking 2 steps, she found that not only did it not hurt, the swelling on her ankle had also disappeared. It looked no different from normal. Xiao He, what kind of treasure is this ointment? It's simply too magical and too easy to use. She picked up the ointment and looked at it left and right. She even pulled out the cork and sniffed it. It's not really a treasure. If you like it, I'll give it to you. Mo Chuan said with an indifferent expression. It was like he had just given something worthless. If Xiao Si saw this, he would have screamed out loud. Of course he would not tell her that this ointment was personally made by the #1 divine doctor in the world. Although it looked normal, there was only one bottle in the world. He had obtained it by chance and it was incomparably precious. This little bottle of ointment did not just improve blood circulation, it also had the miraculous effect of reviving the dead. No matter how heavy the injury was, with just a thin layer, the bleeding would stop and the muscles would stop bleeding. It was incomparably effective. Mo Chuan had always kept this bottle of ointment on him, treating it like a treasure. But today, he had given it away without blinking. Chen Ning shook her head with a smile. Although Mo Chuan did not say a single word, she could guess that this magical ointment was not a normal item. I don't have any use for this. You're an assassin, living on the edge of a blade all day. If you don't bleed, you'll be injured, so it's better if you keep it. She smiled as she handed the bottle to Mo Chuan. Seeing that Mo Chuan did not take it, she stuffed it into his chest. You don't like what I've given you? His eyes revealed a bit of hurt. This was the first time he had given someone, so he didn't think Chen would reject it. I like it, but staying by your side is more useful. Chen Ning said with a faint smile. If Xiao Si saw this scene, he would definitely be very worried for his master. He would definitely say, Master, Master, this is the first time you've given a girl a gift, you should have given something that the girl likes, such as beautiful jewelry, bright clothes, or rouge. But you've actually given a bottle of Jinchuang ointment. Are you hoping for the girl to bleed and get hurt? Xiao, you say, Mo, Chin said. Mo, you. Chen Ning walked a few steps in the room and found that her right foot was fine. She looked up at Mo Chuan with gratitude. She said it twice in a row, but he turned a deaf ear to her. Chen Ning's face turned red and she couldn't help glaring at him. It was late at night and a man and woman were alone in a room. If this was spread out, it would not be good. Especially since she had made a solemn vow in front of everyone today. Chapter 242. Mo Chuan suddenly looked up and looked at Chen Ning with a thoughtful look. He randomly said, that Chen Baiyun, she's very fragrant. That's right, she's very fragrant. I don't know what kind of spice she's using to have such a strong smell. Chen Ning slightly knit her brows. She thought of when Chen Baiyun was standing in front of her horse, that pungent smell almost made her fall off her horse. She really didn't know how Chu Xiaoyang could endure this smell. Perhaps he loved the house and its crow. Even if Chen Baiyun farted, it would still be fragrant to him. Have you heard of the sudden smile? Mo Chuan asked. This name was very strange. Chen Ning tilted her head and thought about it. She really had seen it in a book before. The sudden smile is also known as the yellow stone flower. It is a kind of umbrella-shaped golden flower that is very beautiful, but it contains a strong poison. Especially its bulb. If a normal person accidentally eats its bulb, their limbs will spasm and their heart will palpitate, causing them to die. She recited it like she was reciting a book. Mo Chuan said in a surprised voice, You've seen the sudden smile before. Chen Ning shook her head. I've only seen pictures of it in books and also descriptions of it. Then have you smelled it before? No. Chen Ning shook her head again. It's very smelly, making people want to vomit. As long as you smell it once, you won't be able to forget it. Mo Chuan's words surprised Chen Ning. She thought that the sudden smile would be very fragrant, just like the fragrance on Chen Baiyun's body, but she never thought that it would be smelly. She silently looked at him, waiting for him to continue. She knew that he wouldn't mention this strange flower for no reason. Mo Chuan slightly knit his brows and thought back, that was many years ago. At that time, I was riding a horse and suddenly smelled a strange smell on the wind. I didn't care, but the horse I was riding suddenly started running, and no matter how I pulled on the reins, it didn't work. Very quickly, my eyes lit up and I saw a large golden sea in front of me. When I got closer, I found that it wasn't a golden sea, but rather a large patch of chrysanthemum-like flowers. The color was just like gold, and I had never seen such beautiful flowers before, so I couldn't help opening my eyes wide in curiosity. I didn't pull on the reins and let the horse run towards the golden sea. The closer it got, the stronger the stench became. I finally understood that the horse was attracted by the stench. Hearing this, Chen Ning suddenly shivered. She felt that in Mo Chuan's narration, there was a kind of dark and terrifying feeling. It was like something important had flashed through her mind. She heard Mo Chuan continue, "The closer I got to the sea of flowers, the more excited the horse became. It charged straight into the sea of flowers. At this time, I suddenly felt a sense of danger and jumped off the horse without thinking. I landed on the edge of the golden sea of flowers. The ground under my feet was hard rock, but my horse charged straight into the sea of flowers. I only heard a mournful neigh, and the horse actually disappeared from the sea of flowers. I watched this unbelievable scene happen in front of me. I was stunned and my mind went blank. After a while, I realized that the entire sea of flowers was growing on the edge of the cliff. I managed to escape from death, but my horse fell off the cliff and became a pile of meat paste. Chapter 243. Chen Ning clapped her hands together and her eyes sparkled. She had finally found an answer to the riddle she had been thinking about, and everything became clear in front of her. Xiao He, you're right. This is because the blue and white porcelain situation is the same as when you were in danger in the past. It also suddenly charged at Qin Baiyun, and the smell of the sudden laughter would make the horse excited, causing it to lose control. As for why Qin Baiyun smothered herself with such a thick perfume, it was to cover up the sudden laughter smell on her body. This way, it wouldn't raise any suspicions and people wouldn't be able to guess the reason. Mo Chuan's eyes sparkled with praise as he gave a slight nod to Chen Ning. He had only mentioned it once, but she had already guessed the cause and effect of the matter. She was not wrong at all, she really was smart. Chen Ning thought about it more and more as she said, "No wonder she purposely walked in front of my horse to talk to me, it was to let the blue and white porcelain smell the sudden laughter on her body." No, if it was like this, why didn't Chu Xiaoyang's jade flower horse go crazy? She knit her brows and couldn't understand this. Mo Chuan thought about it and then asked, "Think about it. After Chen Baiyun came to the horse track, what did she do? Did she do anything strange?" Chen Ning curled her lips and said without even thinking, "She came to give Chu Xiaoyang something to eat and drink. First she took out a bowl of Angelica deer tail soup, but Chu Xiaoyang didn't drink it and spilled it on the ground. Then she took out a plate of soup dumplings and Chu Xiaoyang ate them all. Then she moved a chair under the tree and didn't do anything strange." "Ah! I understand now. I understand now." Her eyes suddenly lit up and she grabbed Mo Chuan's right hand. She excitedly shouted, "Soup dumplings! Soup dumplings!" Mo Chuan had a mask on his face, so it was hard to see if he was happy or angry. His eyes revealed a warm and encouraging smile. Chen Baiyun must have put an antidote in the soup dumplings, and that antidote must be something with a special smell. That smell completely dispelled the temptation of the jade flower horse, that's why his horse didn't go crazy. Chen Ning finally figured it all out and her eyes revealed a look of extreme hatred. Chen Ning's eyes were filled with hatred. This truly is a sinister plan. I never thought that Chen Baiyun's mind would be this vicious, thinking of such a perfect plan to harm me. She hatefully said, Xiao Hei, if it wasn't for you saving me today, her plan would have succeeded. The Ding Yuan princess position would have been hers, but me. I would have been killed by Chu Xiaoyang with a single palm, and I would be charged with the crime of killing a horse out of jealousy. The more she thought about it, the more afraid she became. The hand holding Imo Chuan couldn't help trembling. From today onwards, I won't let anyone harm a single hair on your head. No one. I, Mo Chuan, will always do what I say. Mo Chuan said word by word. He slowly opened his palm and held her hands in his. His palms were burning hot, and his words were even more heartwarming. This was the second time he said this, but it shocked Chen Ning even more than the first time. She raised her head and stared at him in a daze. She felt that his eyes were like thick ink that couldn't be melted, or more like a deep well with a whirlpool. If she wasn't careful, she would fall into it. Chin in of chin of chin of. To actually make you do such a thing, I'd better think of another way. Xiao. Mo Chuan suddenly spoke. His eyes sparkled as he stared at her, and a suffocating feeling pressed down on her. I'm willing. Mo Chuan said again. He took a deep look at her before turning to leave. For you. The door closed behind him, but his last two words were carried by the wind into Chen Ning's ears. Chen Ning was in a daze. It was like her heart had been hit by something. Chapter 245. The next day, Chen Ning woke up early. Opening the window, she saw the clear sky. Her mood was as good as the sky. She slightly narrowed her eyes and looked at the red sun rising in the east. Thinking of what was going to happen today, she was a little looking forward to it. A black-clothed figure suddenly appeared outside the window. She was shocked, and then she found out that it was Mo Chuan. Morning. She smiled as she greeted him. Mo Chuan did not say anything and just gave her a slight nod. His eyes glanced over her face before quickly turning away to look at the blooming flowers in the yard. Chen Ning noticed that his ears had turned red again, and her heart felt a little strange. Was he shy again? What was it for this time? Could it be because of what she told him to do last night? It was possible. Thinking of how she had thought of that idea, making a man like him do that kind of thing, especially with how proud he was, not to mention him feeling embarrassed, even she felt a little regretful when she thought about it. Chen Ning pursed her lips into a smile and continued to lean against the window. She breathed in the fresh air while enjoying the beautiful scenery of the garden outside. Mo Chuan's back was still facing her, and he did not turn around. The red on his ears did not fade for a long time. The more she looked, the more she found it funny. She never thought that a cold and ruthless killer like him would feel shy. He had always released a cold killing intent before, but after being with him for this period of time, Chen Ning found that she was becoming more and more afraid of him. Especially seeing his ears turn red, it made her want to tease him even more. She suddenly gave a loud whistle at Mo Chuan's back. Mo Chuan's back instantly turned stiff and his ears turned even redder. His figure flashed and he disappeared into his own room. The figure that suddenly disappeared had a bit of a sorry look to it. Chen Ning giggled seeing this. Her wide sleeves slid down to her arms, revealing her snow-white arms. Xiao Ru was attracted by her voice, and when she saw her appearance, she was instantly shocked. She quickly ran to the window and pushed her head into the window. Young miss, you. How can you show yourself like this? You. Did you forget that bodyguard He lives next door? You. Quickly put on your clothes. Her face turned red from embarrassment. She pushed Chen Ning into the window and quickly closed the window with a paw sound. She stuck her head out to look at Imo Chuan's room. Seeing that the other side's door was tightly shut, she patted her chest and let out a long sigh of relief. Chen Ning felt this was strange. She looked at herself and found that the pajamas she was wearing were very comfortable, only revealing a small part of her neck and chest. Compared to the cool clothes of the modern era, her clothes could be considered the most conservative. Chen Ning didn't know what she was wearing, but she didn't know what she was wearing. Xiao Ru, this girl was really making a fuss over nothing. She glanced back and saw herself in the mirror. Her long hair reached her waist, and her neck was pink and white. Coupled with the fact that she hadn't put on any makeup in the morning, a kind of lazy charm was faintly discernible. She suddenly understood why Imo Chuan's ears were red. He wasn't blushing because of what she asked him to do last night, but because he saw her like this. She felt it was even more funny. This ancient man was really conservative, and it was too easy to be shy. Little White was like this, and Little Black was also like this. Chapter 246. Young miss, this servant will help you dress up. Xiao Ru opened the door and came in. She had already prepared a basin of water to wash her face and also brought a new set of hunting clothes. Chen Ning sat down in front of the dressing table and looked at the new clothes. She asked, where did these clothes come from? The eldest princess sent someone to send them over. She said that the young miss clothes must be old after wearing them for 2 days, so she specially sent a new set. Young miss, look, this lake green one looks even better than the sky blue one. Xiao Ru happily raised the hunting clothes and showed them to Chen Ning. Chen Ning said, I've only worn these clothes for 2 days, how could they be old? The eldest princess really spent too much on them. She looked at the new clothes and her heart was filled with love. This spring-like lake green really suited her taste. Young miss, you look too good wearing these clothes. The eldest princess' eyes are really good, this color really suits the young miss. Xiao Ru was in a daze. After a while, she applauded. Chen Ning was wearing a light blue hunting jacket. Her white face was clean, without a single trace of makeup on it. She was just like a white lotus, elegant and delicate. She was very attractive. Chen Ning's face was like a white lotus blooming in the water. She sat in front of the dressing table and looked at the rouge powder box on the table. After a bit of hesitation, she opened it and applied it to her face. Before her plan was completed, she did not plan on letting Chu Xiaoyang see her true face. Otherwise, there would be some trouble. How could Xiao Ru know her complex thoughts? Seeing that she had covered up her beautiful face, she couldn't help sighing. Young miss, when can you let that bastard highness see your face? She was really looking forward to that day. She thought that if that bastard highness saw the young miss beauty, he would not treat the young miss like this. I'm afraid that when he sees my face, he will fall in love with me. Chen Ning looked back and giggled at Xiao Ru, deliberately making a joke. Who would have thought that Xiao Ru would believe it? She nodded and praised, young miss, with how beautiful you are, if that bastard highness sees you, he won't be able to move his eyes away. Poochie. Chen Ning smiled and pinched Xiao Ru's cheek. What if he really falls in love with me and doesn't separate from me? In other people's eyes, he is a treasure, but in my eyes, he is just a dirty rag that Chen Baiyun has used. I don't like how dirty he is. But young miss, which man in this world doesn't have 3 wives and 4 concubines? Even if you leave that bastard highness, you might not. Might not. She secretly looked at Chen Ning, not daring to continue. You're right. Even if I leave Chu Xiaoyang, I might not meet the person I want. Yes, the good man in my heart will put me first in everything. He will love me, respect me, dote on me, and cherish me. He will be wholeheartedly devoted to me and will never have a second woman in his heart. What I am looking for is such a unique man. Chen Ning looked at her ugly face in the bronze mirror. Without knowing why, the faint smile Chu Xiaobai gave her in the wedding hall flashed in her mind. It was like a spring breeze, blowing pear blossoms all over the ground. Xiao Ru looked at her ugly face in the bronze mirror. Without knowing why, the faint smile Chu Xiaobai gave her in the wedding hall flashed in her mind. It was like a spring breeze, blowing away the pear blossoms on the ground. Chen Ning's eyes shined brightly. Chapter 247. Xiao Ru listened in a daze. She suddenly opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but then hesitating. If you want to say something, then say it openly. Chen Ning rolled her eyes. This servant wants to say that bodyguard He is actually very good. I heard that he was the one who saved young Miss yesterday. His martial arts are good and he has a good character. How about this servant go ask him if he has a family or is he engaged? Before Xiao Ru could finish her rambling, Chen Ning picked up the egg Chu Xiaobai gave her and stuffed it into her mouth. That's right, bodyguard He is really good. His martial arts are good and he has a good character. How about I help you be the matchmaker and marry you to him? Chen Ning giggled and said. Woo, 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 woo. Xiao Ru's mouth was stuffed with the egg and she couldn't say anything. She had an anxious expression as she shook her head. If you try to pull strings with your young miss again, I'll feed you some mute medicine and you won't be able to speak for the rest of your life. Chen Ning glanced at Xiao Ru and left the room. Once she left the room, she almost fell into a person's embrace. She quickly stopped and looked over. She saw Mo Chuan's tall figure standing in front of the door, not moving at all. Xiao He, why are you here? After Chen Ning asked this, she thought of how Mo Chuan had heard every word of her conversation with Xiao Ru. Especially her last words with Xiao Ru, she suddenly felt a little guilty. How long have you been here? She probed another question. Not long. Mo Chuan's voice was very cold. His dark eyes were very deep, not showing any joy or anger. Not long was not long. Chen Ning muttered in her stomach. Although Mo Chuan was wearing a mask and she couldn't see his expression, she guessed that he must have heard it. Otherwise, how could he suddenly turn into a block of ice? His body was ice cold and even when the sun shined on him, there was no heat at all. Have you eaten yet? Let's eat breakfast first. Chun Tao and Xia Tao's culinary skills are not bad. There are porridge, side dishes, and various desserts, you will definitely like them. Chen Ning had a guilty conscience as she looked around, but she was too embarrassed to look at Mo Chuan. She was so regretful that she wanted to bite off her tongue. Why did she have to make fun of him and even say that she wanted to marry Xiao Ru to him? He was an assassin who killed without batting an eye, how could she provoke him? Mo Chuan stood in the same spot with his arms crossed in front of his chest. His deep dark eyes looked right at her, not saying a word or moving. Chuan felt even more embarrassment as she looked down and rubbed her nose. Who would have thought that after she took 2 steps, Mo Chuan's figure would suddenly appear in front of her and she would bump into him again. Xiao He, why are you always blocking my way? Chen Ning rubbed her sore nose and said in a bad mood. Xiao He. He suddenly said. Ask what? Chen Ning was confused. Have I ever had a family or been betrothed? Ask and I'll tell you. Mo Chuan seriously looked at her. Pooh. Chen Ning couldn't hold it in and almost spat it out. Her face turned completely red. She. Cool. Chen Ning's face turned red as she muttered, what does it have to do with me whether you're married or not? Mo Chuan did not speak and his feet did not move. She had no choice but to ask helplessly, well, Then let me ask you, how old are you this year? Have you ever been married or engaged? She could only helplessly ask, all right, then I'll ask you. How old are you? Have you ever been married or engaged? Chen Ning nodded with a smile, all right, I understand. Since I'm done asking, can you let me go now? Mo Chuan still did not move. What else is there? Are you forgetting something? What? She asked in a strange voice. Chapter 248. Chen Ning felt her cheeks burning hot. She gave a chuckle as she tried to change the topic. Is that so? Did you hear wrong? When did I say anything like this? You must have heard wrong, you must have heard wrong. She quickly went around him and ran out of the yard in a panic, not daring to look back. Damn! Did this Mo Chuan have clairvoyant ears? Why is it that nothing escapes his ears? Chen Ning hatefully thought. She suddenly felt like she had made a stupid decision. If she knew that Mo Chuan's ears were this sharp, she would not have let him live in the flowing cloud pavilion. From now on, she would not have the freedom to speak. She looked up at the sky and wanted to cry. In order to avoid embarrassment, Chen Ning did not even eat breakfast. She took the date red horse and directly came to the horse track. She saw Chu Xiaoyang with a single glance and was very surprised. He actually came this early. He was wearing a spring green robe with a white jade belt around his waist. It made his face look even more like jade and his brows were very delicate. The jade flower was standing beside him. The horse was also very handsome, looking like a painting. It was a pity that Chen Ning did not like this painting at all. It was this person who had almost killed her without distinguishing between right and wrong yesterday. She saw him as an enemy, and her eyes reddened with hatred. But she hid it very well, not revealing a single trace of it on her face. Instead, she smiled and greeted him, Your Highness, you're early. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes fell onto her light green riding clothes and a look of disgust flashed in his eyes. He gave a snort and said, Where did these clothes come from? The eldest princess sent someone to send them over. Chen Ning looked at his robe. It was also brand new and was made of the same material as her own. Her heart instantly understood what was going on. This eldest princess was truly thoughtful. Did she think that by making two matching clothes for the two of them, they would become a couple? That was simply impossible. Meddlesome. Chu Xiaoyang angrily said. His right hand pulled at his waist and the white jade belt was cut in half, falling to the ground. His hands pulled again and the robe on his body was cut in half. With a gust of wind, it was sent flying. Under his robe was a dark green set of clothes. Chen Ning clapped her hands and said with a smile, Good job, beautiful. This princess is also feeling a bit hot, so I want to take off my clothes. Yeah, I'm also wearing dark green clothes underneath. This is really unfortunate. Your Highness, why don't you take off another one? Chu Xiaoyang's face instantly turned green. He gritted his teeth and said, Chen Ning. I'm just joking, I'm just joking. Even if you want to take it off, this princess is not. Chen Ning giggled as she jumped onto the red horse's back. She looked in the direction of the intoxicated flower pavilion and said in a seemingly unintentional voice, Why isn't little sister Bai Yun here today? This princess have not had breakfast yet. Chen, Ning, Chen, and Chen, Xiao Chen, Ning, Chen, and Chu Xiaoyang coldly said, Chen Ning, you really won't give up. You didn't harm Yun yesterday, do you want to harm her again today? Your Highness, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You keep insisting that I want to harm little sister Bai Yun, but what proof do you have? Chen Ning's smile disappeared and her face sunk. Chu Xiaoyang gave a cold laugh. Proof. You charged at Yun or with your horse yesterday, everyone here clearly saw it. They are all witnesses. Chapter 249. Chen Ning's eyes turned and she suddenly revealed a smile. Your Highness is truly lucky. Little sister Bai Yun is truly considerate towards you. Now she's even rushing over to bring you food. It really makes one envious. Chu Xiaoyang turned around and saw Chen Bai Yun's slim figure appear in his line of sight. Lan Xiang was holding a box of food right behind her. It was clear that she had been dressed up today. Her eyebrows were lightly painted and her lips were dyed red. Before she even arrived, a fragrant wind had already blown over. Yun, why are you here again? Didn't the imperial physician tell you to rest in bed and nurture the fetus? Chu Xiaoyang slightly knit his brows. It seemed like he was unhappy, but he still thoughtfully helped her fix her hair that had been messed up by the wind. Chen Bai Yun's red lips slightly opened and she said with a smile, Your Highness came early in the morning and didn't even have breakfast. Yun came to bring food for your Highness. Chu Xiaoyang did not even have time to speak before Chen Ning smiled and said, Little sister really came at the right time. This princess and his highness were talking about how hungry I was and little sister immediately came to bring food. We've been sisters for so many years, but I have never tasted the food that little sister has made. Little sister wouldn't mind letting this princess and his highness taste little sister's cooking, right? Chen Bai Yun was stunned. It was like she had just seen Chen Ning. She walked over and bowed to Chen Ning. Then she said with a smile, So elder sister is also here. It really is a coincidence, little sister didn't know that elder sister would come this early, so I only prepared food for his highness. Lan Xiang, quickly go back and bring some breakfast for elder sister. The fragrance she gave off today was even thicker than yesterday. Chen Ning did not cover her nose and took a few deep breaths. What? This princess can't eat the food given to his highness. Or did you put some special ingredients in the food? Chen Ning gave a lazy smile as she slightly narrowed her eyes. Elder sister is joking. Little sister is preparing sweet dumplings for his highness. His highness likes to eat salty ones, so little sister remembers that elder sister likes sweet ones. Lan Xiang, why aren't you cooking some sweet dumplings for elder sister? Chen Bai Yun shouted at Lan Xiang. There's no need, there's no need. The dumplings that little sister personally made are little sister's feelings for his highness. As an elder sister, how can I not be tactful? You can slowly feed his highness. Chen Ning smiled as she waved her hand. Then she said, What kind of fragrance is little sister using? It seems even more fragrant than yesterday. The smile on Chen Bai Yun's face froze, but she quickly said as if nothing had happened, It's not some expensive spice. If elder sister likes it, I'll have Lan Xiang send some over later. Alright, then I'll have to thank little sister. Chen Ning giggled as she pulled her horse to the side. She pulled a few stalks of grass to feed the date-red horse. Chu Xiaoyang quickly finished eating the dumplings and looked at Chen Ning from the corner of his eyes. Seeing her relaxed appearance, it didn't seem like she was looking for the culprit at all. His heart filled with anger. Your Highness, you finished eating. It was like Chen Ning had eyes in the back of her head. She suddenly turned around with a smile and said, Since you're full, do you dare to compete with me to see whose horse is faster? Are you worthy? Chu Xiaoyang gave a cold snort as he looked at the date-red horse she was riding with disdain. Your horse isn't bad, but with your riding skills, you aren't even worthy of carrying this king's shoes. Is that so? It's still the same words, don't be too confident. If your highness loses, you will be slapping your own face. If you don't compete, how will you know who won or lost? Chapter 250. The date red horse let out a long neigh and began to run forward. If you don't dare, then forget it. Her clear voice was carried by the wind. Would this king be afraid of you? Chu Xiaoyang jumped onto the horse without any hesitation. His legs tightened as he chased after Chen Ning. Chen Baiyun watched as the two of them ran further and further away. Her lips slowly curled into a faint smile. Chu Xiaoyang's riding skills were really good. After just half a lap, his jade flower horse had already passed the date red horse's head. He turned around from the horse's back and coldly looked at Chen Ning. You've lost. Is that so? Chen Ning did not look at him. Her eyes fell onto the slender figure in the distance and she raised her whip with a smile as she said, We're still far from the finish line. Let's just ride the donkey and read the book, we'll see. She urged the date red horse forward and instantly passed the jade flower horse. Not giving up until you see the coffin. Chu Xiaoyang whipped the horse's butt. The jade flower horse raised its 4 hooves and charged forward like it was flying. In the blink of an eye, it had passed the date red horse and was running faster and faster. Very quickly, Chen Ning and her horse were left far behind. Chu Xiaoyang's heart was filled with pride. Suddenly, the proud smile on his face froze and his eyes popped out, like he had seen something unbelievable. He saw the several horses in the stable charge out at the same time. Their hooves flew forward and they heavily landed on the ground, causing the ground to slightly tremble. The horse grooms were all shocked and none of them could react. They never would have thought that these horses that had been tied up in the stable would suddenly charge out at the same time. Could it be that they had gone crazy? The most unbelievable thing was that these horses were all running in the same direction, charging towards a single target. And that target was Chen Baiyun, who was standing at the edge of the horse track. Seeing this scene, not only did the horse groom's eyes fall to the ground, even Chu Xiaoyang's eyes almost fell out. Yun. He gave a heart-rending roar and heavily whipped the jade flower horse's butt. He urged the horse to fly as he charged in Chen Baiyun's direction. His heart almost jumped out of his chest and his eyes turned red. There was only one thought in his mind, save her. He had to save her. The horse grooms finally reacted and quickly chased after the horses. But with their 2 legs, how could they run faster than the 4 legs of the horses? But they did not dare not chase and they had to chase. Chen Baiyun was scared silly. Seeing this large group of horses madly rushing towards her, she was so scared that her limbs went soft. She wanted to escape 100 times in her heart, but her 2 legs only cared about trembling, unexpectedly unable to move a single step. Lan Xiang, who was standing behind her, was also shocked. She opened her mouth and desperately shouted, Your Highness, save me. Lan Xiang, who was standing behind her, was also shocked. Your Highness, save me. The neighing of the horses, the running of the horses, the cries of alarm, and the cries mingled together. Chen Ning stopped the date red horse and sat on the horse's back. She smiled as she watched this scene, just like she was watching a wonderful play. Chu Xiaoyang stopped his horse. When he saw a dozen fine horses raising their hooves and charging towards the woman he loved the most, he went mad. He desperately whipped the horse, not caring about the jade flower horse's life at all. Finally, at the last moment, he rushed over and grabbed Chen Baiyun, saving her on the horse. But Lan Xiang behind Chen Baiyun was not as lucky. Chapter 251. The front hoof of a horse kicked her in the head with a loud crack, and the expression of terror on her face was forever frozen in time. Her skull was broken and her brain was split open as she fell to the ground. Following that, the hooves of several horses stepped over her body and she was instantly turned into a pile of meat paste. Lan Xiang. Seeing this terrifying scene, Chen Baiyun's eyes rolled back and she instantly fainted. Chu Xiaoyang's chin tightened as his cold eyes swept over Lan Xiang's corpse. He tightly held Chen Baiyun and continued to wildly charge forward. Those several horses did not stop as they charged forward like crazy, chasing behind his horses, but it was like they had a deep grudge against Chen Baiyun in his arms. Although Chu Xiaoyang's jade flower horse was more spirited than these horses, it was still carrying two people. Adding in the fact that the several dozen horses were charging forward like they didn't care about their lives, they quickly closed the distance. The horses were getting closer and closer to Chu Xiaoyang and Chen Baiyun. If Chu Xiaoyang did not let go of Chen Baiyun, it was very likely that he would also be turned into meat paste by these crazy horses. Damn! Bastards! Bastards! Have you all gone crazy? Father is your master, master. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned livid with anger as he angrily scolded the horses behind him. These horses were all famous colts that he had carefully selected from all over the world. He was a horse lover, and every horse that he bought would be carefully raised by someone. He would even come to the stud farm every day to spend some time with these beloved horses, and then he would gallop them to the groom. He knew that good horses recognized their masters the most, so when these horses saw him, they would raise their heads and happily greet him. But today, none of the horses seemed to recognize him. The horses snorted heavily through their noses, their eyes were as wide as copper bells, and they charged forward with all their might. Chu Xiaoyang's stomach was about to explode with anger. He did not know why these horses had gone crazy, but he knew that if he did not let go of Chen Baiyun, even he would not be able to escape. Damn! Bastards! You're all animals. Chu Xiaoyang continued to curse. He gritted his teeth and with a flick of his wrist, he took out the spirit snake sword from his waist. The sword glowed under the sunlight, releasing a dazzling white light. The only thing he could do now was to cut his wrist. Chu Xiaoyang held the spirit snake sword as he stared at the horses chasing after him. He gritted his teeth, but he could not do it no matter what. He suddenly gave a long roar as he grabbed Chen Baiyun and threw her onto a nearby elm tree. He used just the right amount of strength and Chen Baiyun safely landed on two branches, still unconscious. The horses immediately changed their direction and charged straight towards the big elm tree. They raised their front hooves and stomped heavily on the thick tree trunk. At the same time, they raised their heads and neighed. Although the trunk of the elm tree was thick, the hooves of the horses were even harder. With several dozen hooves, there were several cha, cha, cha sounds as the trunk of the elm tree that needed two people to wrap their arms around it began to crack. But Chu Xiaoyang used this moment to catch his breath. He jumped off the jade flower horse and landed on the back of a wild horse under the elm tree. With a paw sound, he slapped the horse's ear and the horse fell to the ground. Its legs twitched as it fell unconscious. Chapter 252. In the blink of an eye, several dozen wild horses had been knocked unconscious by Chu Xiaoyang's palm and they all fell to the ground. The horse grooms were all panting as they ran over. Seeing the unconscious horses on the ground, their mouths were wide open, not knowing what to do. Chu Xiaoyang's face was as white as paper. He felt the air in his chest churn and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. His several palms seemed weak, but it had already consumed most of his internal energy. His internal injuries had not healed yet, and adding in the fact that he had used too much strength, it could be said that he had suffered even more injuries. He gritted his teeth and swallowed down the sweet taste in his throat. With a tap of his foot, he jumped up and picked up Chen Baiyun from the elm tree. Chen Baiyun had just woken up and had just escaped death. Thinking of Lan Xiang's tragic death, her body began to tremble. She fell into Chu Xiaoyang's arms and trembled. She was so scared that she could not even cry. "I beg your highness for mercy. Your highness, please forgive us." The horse grooms all kneeled down on the ground. Their faces were all pale, as if a great disaster was about to befall them. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes turned red as he stared at the horse grooms. The hand holding the spirit snake sword began to tremble, wishing he could chop off their heads one by one. You! This king wanted you to raise horses and you raised them like this for this king. What's the use of dogs like you for? He raised the spirit snake sword in his hand with killing intent. We're wronged, Your Highness. The servants don't know anything. The horse grooms all cried out in unison and their cries shook the heavens. Your Highness, please calm your anger. If you kill these horse grooms, wouldn't the truth of this matter be buried and we would never be able to find the culprit? Chen Ning rode her horse forward and jumped off the date red horse. She looked at the horse grooms with a faint gaze. I beg the princess consort to save us. When the horse grooms heard her words, it was like they had grasped onto a life-saving straw. They all began to kowtow to her. Chen Ning revealed a smile and said, What use is there in begging me? I am just an unfavored princess, His Highness will just treat my words as fart. You should be begging His Highness precious baby, isn't that right, little sister Bai Yun? I. Chen Bai Yun's lips trembled, but she couldn't say a single word. She was still in a state of shock. The tragic scene of Lan Xiang's death was still flashing in front of her eyes. Just a little bit more and the person who was trampled into meat paste by the horse was her. She forcefully grabbed Chu Xiaoyang's clothes and said in a trembling voice, Kill. Kill them, all. All of them. To avenge Lan Xiang. The coachmen's faces turned ashen and they collapsed to the ground. Chu Xiaoyang tightly hugged Chen Bai Yun. His eyes were like an angry lion as he looked over the horse grooms. Everyone who was swept by his gaze felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. Guards! His cold voice was forced out from between his teeth. His follower, Shaoanzi, appeared out of nowhere and bowed, Your servant is here. Pass down my orders, chop off the heads of these dog slaves, then turn them into minced meat and feed them to the dogs. He gnashed his teeth. Your Highness, spare me, spare me. The coachmen cried and kowtowed, their foreheads bleeding. Chu Xiaoyang acted like he didn't hear anything as his eyes flashed with a cold and cruel glow. Shaoanzi was prepared to send down the order to summon the guards, but Chen Ning suddenly took a step forward and blocked his path. Chapter 253. Chu Xiaoyang's cold eyes fell onto her face and he coldly said, What do you want to do? Seeing the calm expression on Chen Ning's face, a thought suddenly flashed in his mind. Could this accident be related to her? But what method did she use to make those horses suddenly go crazy? She didn't have that kind of skill. Your Highness, did you forget what I said yesterday? Chen Ning lazily curled her lips and spoke as if nothing had happened. What words? Chu Xiaoyang snapped. Chen Ning blinked, So Your Highness is this forgetful? You've already forgotten what you heard yesterday. It seems like what Your Highness needs to drink isn't Angelica deer tail soup, but rather a brain-nourishing pill. This king doesn't have time to listen to your nonsense. Shaoanzi, why aren't you going? Chu Xiaoyang gave another sharp shout. Your Highness truly has a big temper. Since you don't want to find the killer that wants to hurt little sister, then I won't worry about it. Little sister has been frightened, so Your Highness should quickly find a doctor to take a look at her. Don't let little sister keep talking about killing people, it's just too scary. Little sister still has a child in her stomach, don't you want to accumulate some good fortune for your unborn child? Chen Ning curled her lips and looked at Chen Bai Yun with a taunting gaze. Chen Bai Yun's body trembled and she couldn't help covering her stomach. She buried her head deep into Chu Xiaoyang's chest and said in a trembling voice, Your Highness, Yun is very scared. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes were filled with a scarlet killing intent as he suddenly grabbed Qin Ning's right wrist. He snapped, "Speak clearly for this king. Are my words not clear enough?" Qin Ning gave a z sound and looked at Chu Xiaoyang with a smile. "Does your highness always like to move your hands when you speak? Holding my hand like this, aren't you afraid little sister Bai Yun will be jealous?" "You!" Chu Xiaoyang was so angry that his veins popped out. It was like he had been bitten by a snake as he let go. Qin Ning was not in a rush. She took out a snow-white handkerchief from her chest and wiped the hand that Chu Xiaoyang had just grabbed. Her actions almost made Chu Xiaoyang explode with anger. "Qin Ning," he said word for word. His eyes were as cold as a knife. "Let's talk properly, there's no need to hold hands. Doesn't your highness want to find little sister's killer? Now that you've found it, why hasn't your highness dealt with it? Now that you've found it, why hasn't your highness dealt with it yet?" Chu Xiaoyang's eyes followed the white handkerchief that was being blown by the wind. His temples were throbbing in pain and his ears were ringing, so he did not hear what Qin Ning was saying at all. He came back to his senses and asked, Qin said. "Qin?" ? Qin Ning pursed her lips into a smile. She pointed at the dozen or so unconscious horses on the ground and said, "It's right here. These horses are the culprits. Didn't Wang Yi personally say that if I let my horse hit someone, then I would be the one to harm Mimi? Then if those horses hit Mimi, how could they escape the crime of murder? Qin. These horses would not go crazy and charge at Yun for no reason. Qin Ning, tell me, did you do it?" Chu Xiaoyang's eyes were filled with killing intent as he viciously stared at Qin Ning. Chapter 254. Qin Baiyun couldn't help trembling as her face turned as white as paper. Tears began to fall as she pitifully grabbed onto Chu Xiaoyang's clothes. "Your Highness, Lan Xiang, she died so miserably. Your Highness, you have to take revenge for Lan Xiang." She choked with sobs as she closed her eyes. That delicate and weak appearance made Chu Xiaoyang's heart clench as he felt an indescribable pain. He did not care about the death of a little girl. In his eyes, it was just like an ant dying. What made his heart ache was Qin Baiyun's tears. Seeing her tears, his mind was filled with the image of her from 8 years ago. At that time, her hair was disheveled and her face was covered in water and tears. He could only remember her eyes filled with tears. "Yun, you can be assured, I will definitely take revenge for you," he firmly said. "That's right, Your Highness, you have to take revenge for little sister. How about you kill all these sinful horses that want to hurt little sister?" Qin Ning put away the smile on her face and pointed at the horses on the ground with righteous indignation. "You!" Chu Xiaoyang's eyes popped out. If he was willing to kill these horses, he would not have wasted a large amount of his internal energy to knock them out. In his eyes, these horses were much more important than the horse grooms kneeling on the ground. It was clearly the horse grooms who did not look after them properly, causing this king's beloved horses to go crazy, causing this disaster. What does it have to do with the horses? It's all the fault of these servants. This king wants to cut off their heads and you're stopping me. Could it be that you ordered them to do this? Chu Xiaoyang was very aggressive as he directly questioned Qin Ning. Qin Ning took a step back and used her hand to fan her nose. "Your Highness' tone is quite big. Did you not brush your teeth this morning? Don't drink deer tail soup next time, have little sister make you some clear soup to drink. You say that I ordered them to do this, but does Your Highness have any proof?" Chu Xiaoyang gritted his teeth in anger. He argued back, "You say that you didn't do it, but what proof do you have? It was clearly the horses that made a mistake, but Your Highness wants to push it onto a person. Speaking of this, the main culprit of this matter is not anyone else, it is your highness beloved, little sister Yun. Chen Ning looked at Chen Bai Yun, her eyes staring right at her. You're speaking nonsense. Chen Ning's face fell as she screamed. Good little sister, what are you so excited for? Elder sister's meaning is that little sister Yun is truly too beautiful and enchanting. Not only have you captivated His Highness, even His Highness horses have been captivated by you. Yesterday's blue and white porcelain was like this, and today's dozen horses are also like this. Speaking of this, it can't be blamed on these horses. They must have treated little sister as a mare, fighting to be the first to find little sister. I've been rude. Your Highness, do you understand what I mean? Although Chen Ning did not say the word mating, anyone with ears could understand what she meant. The coachmen knelt on the ground with their heads bowed. Although they were terrified, they almost laughed when they heard this. Chu Xiaoyang was so angry that his face turned livid. He wished he could block Chen Ning's mouth. He knew that if Chen Ning kept talking, he didn't know what else she would say. Chen Ning, this king disdains hitting women, but there are some women that want to be hit. This king will not show any mercy. He slowly clenched his fists. Chapter 255. Ze, Your Highness is truly considerate towards little sister Yun, but this princess is not someone you can do whatever you want. Chen Ning's smile suddenly disappeared and her cold eyes made Chu Xiaoyang's heart skip a beat. If you want to find out the truth, it's very simple. You just need to take off little sister Yun's clothes and find a horse to smell it. That horse will go crazy just like the blue and white porcelain. She said word for word. Chu Xiaoyang knit his brows and said, What do you mean? Isn't it obvious? I don't know what kind of fragrance little sister Yun is wearing, but even the horses are enchanted by it. Your Highness has been with little sister Yun every day, so you should be used to this fragrance, but your horses can't resist it. So, don't blame the horse grooms for not watching over them and don't blame the horses for going crazy for no reason. If you want to blame something, blame it on little sister Yun for being too fragrant. Otherwise, why wouldn't these horses normally go crazy, but when younger sister Yun appears in the horse farm, all these fine horses go crazy. Chen Ning's words were very reasonable. It seemed ridiculous, but thinking about it carefully, it was all very reasonable. She did not directly point at Chen Bai Yun and say that this was all a trap, but rather she pointed at the fragrance on her body. Even if Chen Bai Yun wanted to defend herself, she would not be able to do so. Chu Xiaoyang couldn't help being stunned. The more he thought about it, the more reasonable it seemed. He slowly nodded. Chen Bai Yun's face turned red and green as she bit her lips. She looked down, covering the hatred in her eyes towards Chen Ning. She began to sob in grievance. Your Highness. Yun doesn't know anything. Elder sister. Yun really doesn't know anything. Chen Ning curled her lips into a smile. Good little sister, what are you crying for? Elder sister didn't say you did it on purpose. Chu Xiaoyang gently put Chen Bai Yun down. His eyes turned cold as he said, Yun take off your clothes. For this kind of matter, how could he believe Chen Ning's words? He had to see it with his own eyes. Chen Bai Yun's eyes filled with grievance as she said in a pitiful voice, Your Highness. You don't believe Yun either. When did this king say he didn't believe you? This king just wanted to see it with his own eyes. Chu Xiaoyang said with a frown. Chen Bai Yun was helpless as she slowly took off her clothes. She knew that although Chu Xiaoyang doted on her, he couldn't tolerate anyone going against his heart. He liked her gentle personality the most, so no matter how unwilling she was, she had to pretend to be gentle. Xiao and Zi, bring a horse from the palace. No, bring 5 horses. Chu Xiaoyang ordered. Shaoanzi said. Shaoanzi, the King Ding Yuan Palace did not only have a place to raise horses, there were also stables for the guards' horses. Not long after, Shaoanzi came galloping over on a horse, followed closely by 5 guards on horseback. They did not wait for Xiao and Chu before Xiao, and Chu, Xiao and Chu. Xiao and Zining. He Chu and Zi Xiaoan, he Xiaoan, before. Get on the horses and run. He shouted at the guards. The guards did not understand, so they obediently jumped onto their horses. They did not know where His Highness wanted them to go, so they could only follow the track. Chapter 256. Chen Baiyun's eyes sparkled and her body slightly trembled, receiving an even more tender hug from Chu Xiaoyang. Don't be afraid, Yun. With this king here, no one will be able to harm you. He tightly hugged her. This scene fell into Chen Ning's eyes and she curled her lips. I'll hide a bit further away, otherwise I'll be caught in the crossfire. She said to herself as she mounted the date-red horse, staying far away from Chu Xiaoyang and Chen Baiyun. Chen Baiyun secretly gritted her teeth. She could not understand why all the horses in the stable had gone crazy, but only Chen Ning's date-red horse was fine. In this way, not only did all of her plans go up in smoke, even her trusted servant girl suffered a violent death. When she thought of Lan Xiang, tears couldn't help falling down. This time it wasn't fake at all. Suddenly, she felt the muscles on Chu Xiaoyang's arm tighten. She immediately looked up and nervously looked in the direction he was looking at. She saw the 5 horses on the track lose control as they madly ran in her direction. The 5 guards desperately tried to stop them, but the horses' mouths were covered in blood, but the 5 horses seemed like they had lost their minds. Their feet did not touch the ground as they ran towards Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang's eyes were filled with tears. Seeing the 5 horses coming closer, Chen Baiyun's face became even paler and her trembling became even more intense. A sharp glow appeared in Chu Xiaoyang's eyes. He suddenly raised his right hand and Chen Baiyun's outer clothes flew high into the trees. The 5 horses immediately changed directions and ran to the bottom of the tree. They raised their front hooves and wildly kicked at the tree, just like the previous scene. The faces of the guards on the horses turned pale. They fell off their horses and began to kowtow to Chu Xiaoyang's feet. This subordinate deserves to die, this subordinate is useless. This subordinate's horse suddenly lost control and ran into Your Highness. I ask Your Highness for forgiveness. A few of them banged their heads on the ground. Chu Xiaoyang's face was so dark that it seemed like water was about to roll down, but he remained silent without saying a word. Chen Baiyun's face turned pale and she almost couldn't stand. If it wasn't for Chu Xiaoyang tightly holding onto her, she would have already turned into a pile of mud. Your Highness, now that the truth has been revealed, the real culprit is the incense on little sister Yun's body. These horse grooms, horses, and that blue and white porcelain are all innocent. Only little sister's maid Lan Xiang was pitiful. She really died a pitiful death. Chen Ning slowly rode her horse forward and gave a faint sigh. Hearing this, Chen Baiyun almost fainted from vomiting. Your Highness, Yun really doesn't know anything, really doesn't know anything. Lan Xiang has served Yun for so many years, how could Yun kill her? Yun is innocent. She choked with sobs and couldn't continue speaking. Her tears fell like pearls from a broken necklace, and she fainted in grief. Yun. Chu Xiaoyang wanted to ruthlessly teach Chen Baiyun a lesson, but he never thought that she would faint. He reached out his hand and she fell into his embrace. His eyes sparkled as he stared at Chen Baiyun. He saw that her white as paper face was covered in sparkling tears, looking delicate and powerless. Thinking of the child in her stomach, he was filled with anger and hate, love and pity. His mood was very complex. Are you all dead? Can't you see that the concubine consort has fainted? Why aren't you calling the doctor over? Chu Xiaoyang sent out a kick and kicked a guard in front of him. He had a stomach full of anger that he could not vent and he felt like he was about to explode. Chapter 257. Although he knew that it was Chen Baiyun's fault, Chu Xiaoyang was not willing to lower his head. He held Chen Baiyun and ran towards the intoxicated flower pavilion with large steps. He did not even look at Qin Ning and the horse grooms kneeling on the ground. He did not even leave a single word behind. Xiao and Zi and the guards were like they had been pardoned. They quickly ran off to find the doctor. The horse grooms were all kneeling on the ground, not daring to get up. They were all trembling and their faces were ashen, looking like they had lost their parents. Humph, daring to do it but not daring to admit it. Treating your words like farts, what kind of bullshit highness are you? Chen Ning looked at Chu Xiaoyang's back that did not even look back and curled her lips in disdain. She looked down at the horse grooms and calmly raised her eyebrows. What are you all kneeling for? Get up and take these horses to the stable and tie them up properly. If there is a next time, this princess will not be able to save you. This servant thanks the princess consort for saving our lives. The horse grooms did not stand up and they all kowtowed to Qin Ning. They all knew in their hearts that their lives were saved by the princess. If it wasn't for the princess finding out the truth, they would have all died a wrongful death today. While they were grateful to Qin Ning, everyone was filled with hatred towards Chen Baiyun. This evil woman, she actually used this kind of method to frame the princess. She almost harmed all of their lives as well. Her heart was truly evil. Forget it, forget it. This princess doesn't have any gratitude towards you. As long as you don't trick me in the future, this princess will be grateful. Chen Ning revealed a smile as she looked over at one of the horse grooms. Then she left on her date red horse with a smile on her face. That horse groom was the one that had received 100 silver coins from Chen Baiyun. He was so ashamed that he could not raise his head and his back was covered in a cold sweat. Chen Ning came out of the horse track. She did not directly return to the flowing cloud pavilion, rather she rode her date red horse out of the king's palace and wandered along the streets. You're letting Chen Baiyun off this easily. Why didn't you expose her true face? A voice suddenly came from behind her. She did not need to turn around to know that it was Mo Chuan. Her brows curved as she said with a smile, you saw everything. Mo Chuan appeared and took the reins from her hands, leading the horse for her. Chen Ning was stunned for a second before revealing a faint smile. She let him lead her forward, not asking where they were going. Even if I expose her true colors, what can I do? No matter what she does, in Chu Xiaoyang's heart, she will always be a pure white lotus. Even if she is wrong, he will forgive her. If she kills someone, he will say that that person deserves to die. Her voice was soft and gentle, and her tone was neither happy nor angry, as if she was telling a story about someone else. Mo Chuan was silent. It was like he understood the sadness and helplessness in her words, but looking at her expression, he couldn't find any sadness at all. What I said yesterday is forever valid, he suddenly said. Chen Ning immediately understood what he meant. He wanted to kill Chen Baiyun for her. She slowly shook her head. If it wasn't for the fact that she was pregnant with Chu Xiaoyang's child, she wouldn't have lived until now. Chen Baiyun deserved to die, but what about the child in her stomach? If it wasn't for the fact that she was pregnant, how could she let Chen Baiyun live to this day? Chapter 258. Although she escaped death today, I believe that she must have been scared out of her wits. She won't cause any trouble in this period of time. Xiao He, you really did a great job. Chen Ning narrowed her eyes at Mo Chuan and revealed a mischievous smile. She thought of the large group of horses charging out of the stable and charging at Qin Bai Yun. She was so scared that she almost peed her pants. She felt it was very funny and very satisfying. She was just giving them a taste of their own medicine. This matter looked very scary, but it wasn't hard to do at all. She just had Mo Chuan steal Chen Bai Yun's clothes and give them to the horses to smell. Then she cut the ropes tying the horses until there were only a few strands left. Like this, when Chen Bai Yun appeared on the horse track again, her clothes with the suddenly smiling flower juice on it would become the target of the horses. The horses would go crazy and charge at her without a care for anything else. There was only a small accident. Chen Ning never thought that Lan Xiang would lose her life because she never thought that Chu Xiaoyang would just watch her die. But thinking about it carefully, this was in line with his cold personality. Other than Chen Bai Yun, anyone else's life was like an ant in his eyes. Humph. Mo Chuan gave a snort and coldly looked away. Chen Ning rubbed her nose and felt very embarrassed. Xiao He, you can be assured, there won't be a next time. Next time, I won't let you steal women's clothes. She stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. Mo Chuan's face turned hot and he turned around to give her a warning look. This matter, only the heavens and earth, you and I know. You can't even tell my follower Xiao Si a single word. He said in a low voice. If this matter was passed to Xiao Si's ears, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xiao He, how about I treat you to a drink? The two of them were walking in a small alley. They saw a wine curtain hanging from the corner of the alley and the fragrance of wine filled the air. All right. Mo Chuan replied without any hesitation. Chen Ning dismounted and gently patted the date red horse's head. The horse obediently stood to the side and ate grass. The two of them pushed open the door and found that the store was not big. The tables and chairs were all clean, but there was not a single customer in the store. The boss was dozing off in the corner. Seeing that there were customers, he lazily got up to greet them. What would the two guests like to order? This store only sells wine and nothing else. Chen Ning couldn't help giggling as she said, Boss, your words are quite interesting. Then I'll buy 10 jeans of wine first. All right. The boss was a straightforward person. He placed the 2 jugs of wine on the table for the two of them and then placed 2 bowls of wine on the table. He reached out his hand to Mo Chuan, customers, this is a total of 2 silver coins. Pay first before you drink, there is no credit. Mo Chuan took out a 10 silver ingot and threw it at him. No need. Mo Chuan was surprised. The boss was overjoyed. He put the silver into his pocket and continued to lie behind the counter, dreaming of Zhou Gong. When the wine was poured out, it was a red and Chen Ning liked. Chen was of it. After the wine was poured out, it was actually a bright red. Chen Ning liked it with a single glance. It really is the fragrance of wine that is afraid of the deep alley. This store has this kind of good wine, but no one has come to taste it. We really are lucky, accidentally coming here and tasting this kind of good wine. She picked up the wine bowl and tasted it. It was rich and fragrant. Compared to this wine, the Tai He Floor's pear blossom white wine was much inferior. The fragrance of wine is afraid of the deep alley. Well said. Mo Chuan looked at her with a surprised expression. Then he picked up the wine bowl and drank it in one gulp, looking very heroic. It really is good wine. He poured another bowl for himself as his eyes sparkled. Chapter 259. Xiao He, are we friends now? Mo Chuan was a little stunned. He actually thought about it and then slowly nodded. He spat out a single word, yes. He had never had any friends, always coming and going alone, drinking by himself. If he didn't consider her a friend, he would never sit down and drink with her. Then, will you kill this friend of yours for a small matter? Chen Ning asked. I won't. Mo Chuan answered very directly this time, not even thinking about it. Then, if this friend of mine asks you for a small request, you won't reject it, right? Her eyes were filled with a smile. Of course I won't. He blurted it out. Thinking about it, he added, if it's a request like last night, then there's no way. He drank another bowl of wine. He felt like his brain must have gone crazy yesterday, actually agreeing to steal a woman's clothes. Being impulsive really was the devil. Thinking about it now, his face turned red. Definitely not, definitely not. I've said it before, there will never be a next time. If you want to steal a woman's clothes again, I'll personally take care of it. Chen Ning smiled as she waved her hand. You still dare bring it up? Mo Chuan glared at her. I don't dare, I don't dare. Chen Ning's eyes turned and she continued to stare at his face. She revealed a smile, since we're friends now and you won't kill me, can you take off your mask and let me see your face? Her eyes were filled with curiosity. Chen Ning's eyes were filled with curiosity. Why? Mo Chuan did not move and his voice was calm as he drank another bowl of wine. Because we're friends. Since we're friends, we should be honest with each other, but I haven't even seen your true face, so how can we be considered friends? Don't you think so? Chen Ning giggled as she picked up the wine bowl and took a small sip. Although this wine was good to drink, with the experience from last time, she did not dare drink it all in one gulp like Mo Chuan. Even though she only drank 2 mouthfuls, her cheeks were already red and her eyes were filled with drunkenness. All right. Mo Chuan thought about it for a bit and suddenly said. Chen Ning was stunned. She shook her head and said, what did you say? She never thought that he would agree this easily. If you want to see it, I'll let you see it. But after you see it, you can't describe my appearance to anyone, can you do that? Mo Chuan's deep eyes fell onto her face, meeting her gaze. Is it because your face under the mask is very ugly? Chen Ning giggled as she stared at his black as ink eyes. She shook her head and said, no, no. Your eyes are so pretty, so you definitely can't be ugly. That's right. That's right. Mo Chuan's face slightly heated and he calmly said, do you like this? I only say the truth. If you think I'm praising you, you. Mo, Ning. Using the empty bowl to touch the wine jug in front of Mo Chuan, she whispered with a smile, excuse me, another bowl. Mo Chuan felt like he was floating, like he was drunk. He looked at her in a daze and unknowingly fell into a daze. Only when the wine bowl touched the jar with a zhing sound did he wake up from his dream. He came back to his senses and poured another full bowl for her. I hope you're not drunk, he whispered, so low that only he could hear him. What did you say? She did not hear it clearly. Chapter 260. The little wine shop was dim, but her eyes suddenly lit up. It was like the sun piercing through the clouds, dazzling her eyes. Chen Ning stared at his face and felt dizzy. She couldn't help rubbing her eyes. In front of her was a handsome face. His eyes were cold and aloof, with a distant and indifferent expression. Looking at him, it seemed like he was a bit familiar. Strange, this face of yours, where have I seen it before? Chen Ning rubbed her forehead and felt dizzy, like she was drunk. She could see Mo Chuan's vague face, like it was floating in the water. "Oh, you've seen me before." Mo Chuan's brows slightly jumped up. His brows were very beautiful, thick and slender. She leaned closer and looked at him carefully, from his eyebrows and eyes, to his straight, jade-like nose, to his slightly pursed thin lips. She looked very carefully. Mo Chuan never showed his emotions, so he was a bit embarrassed being stared at by her. He just habitually pursed his lips and calmly continued to drink, revealing an indifferent expression. "I've never seen you before." Chen Ning suddenly let out a long sigh. The two of them were very close and he could smell the faint fragrance of wine. There was also a faint sweet fragrance that made people feel intoxicated. "But, you're really good looking. Just looking at you, it's very pleasing to the eye." She picked up the wine bowl and took a large gulp. Her eyes blurred as they filled with drunkenness. Mo Chuan's lips curled up and his eyes revealed a faint smile. "Am I better looking or is Chu Xiaobai better looking?" he suddenly asked. "Of course it's because you're better looking," Chen Ning blurted out. She leaned over the table and giggled. Her voice was clear and sweet, just like a silver bell. "Xiao Hei, you're this good looking, so don't wear that damn human skin mask in the future. I like it when you're like this." He didn't say anything and just looked at her with a faint smile, drinking bowl after bowl. Her words made him feel like he was drinking nectar, as if he was even more intoxicated than the wine in the bowl. Chen Ning also drank. The more she drank, the more she felt like this wine was like plain water, but the more she drank, the more thirsty she became. The more she drank, the more she wanted to drink. The more she drank, the brighter her eyes became and the clearer her laughter became. She wanted to laugh when she drank too much. Whatever Mo Chuan said, it would make her laugh until she couldn't stand up straight on the table. Mo Chuan never knew that his words could make a person this happy. He unknowingly said a lot and he couldn't even remember what he said. He could only remember her pair of eyes that were shimmering with drunkenness. Her sweet smile exuded a strange and dazzling beauty. Mo Chuan did not notice that she was drunk because he had already drank too much wine and he had unknowingly become drunk. Pang! Chen Ning suddenly slammed her fist down on the wooden table. She gritted her teeth and cursed, "What are you doing?" Chen Ning said. "Shen and Chen." This voice was like an earth-shattering sound, instantly dispelling most of Mo Chuan's drunkenness. He opened his drunken eyes and looked at Chen Ning in a daze. "Chen! How dare you insult His Majesty?" The boss behind the counter was woken up by Chen Ning's scolding and he drowsily looked up. The boss behind the counter was woken up by Chen Ning's cursing and he drowsily looked up. Mo Chuan flicked his finger and a copper coin flew through the air, hitting the boss' sleeping acupuncture point. Mo Chuan looked down at Chen Ning and found that her face was blushing. Her eyes were slightly closed and her hands were on the table, but she was slipping under the table. Chapter 261. Mo Chuan's hand quickly reached out and she fell into his arms. Then she found a comfortable position in his arms and closed her eyes, peacefully falling asleep. He couldn't help not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "Hey, wake up, wake up." He shook her and called out in her ear. "Shoo, don't be noisy, let me sleep." Chen Ning knit her brows and impatiently waved her hand. It was like she was shooing away mosquitoes. Mo Chuan was helpless. He could only pick her up and walk out the door. Only then did he find that the sky was already filled with stars. They had actually stayed in this little wine shop for half a day. When the night wind blew, his slightly dizzy head instantly became clear. He touched his slightly hot face that was dyed red from the wine. When he touched his smooth skin, he suddenly realized that he wasn't wearing the human skin mask, so he took it out from his chest and put it on. Thinking about it, it really was ridiculous. After all these years, he had been very strict and had never acted as recklessly as he did today. He had actually taken off his mask in front of a girl he wasn't very familiar with just because of a single sentence from her, allowing her to see his face. Then, they went to an unknown tavern and drank to their heart's content. Unexpectedly, they drank to the point where they were slightly drunk. He seemed to have said a lot of things, but he couldn't remember them all. He only remembered that she kept smiling and smiling. Those eyes that were brighter than the stars in the sky were filled with a smile. The wine didn't intoxicate him, but he was intoxicated. Now, it was time for him to wake up. Mo Chuan helped Chen Ning onto the back of the date red horse, but she was too drunk. She couldn't even sit properly on the horse and fell down. She fell into his arms once again. Her cheeks were red and she looked very drunk. The faint starlight shined on her face and her bright red lips were slightly curled up. She looked very innocent as she slept, completely different from the clever girl she was when she was awake. Only because she was too smart and had a heavy guard against others, Mo Chuan felt that he could not see through her. But now it seemed like no matter how smart she was still a 16-17-year-old girl. Her skin was as clear as jade and was so tender that water could be pinched out. Mo Chuan suddenly did something that even he found unbelievable. He actually pinched her cheeks and that smooth and tender feeling gave him a strange feeling. It was as tender as tofu. He pulled his hand back like he was scalded by something and looked at his right hand with a look of disbelief. Damn! What was he doing? Mo Chuan calmed himself and took a deep breath. He jumped onto the date red horse's back while hugging her. The horse only recognized Chen Ning as its master and didn't allow anyone else to ride it. When it saw Mo Chuan holding its master, it snorted in protest. Mo Chuan's legs squeezed the horse's belly and it obediently moved forward. The horse was swaying back and forth. With the cool night wind blowing, Chen Ning opened her eyes in a daze. You're awake. Mo Chuan's deep voice sounded from above her head. Well, where are we? She found that she was in Mo Chuan's arms and there were little stars dancing in the blue night sky in front of her. Mo Chuan's face was like a reflection in the water, swaying back and forth, making it hard for her to see clearly. I'll send you home. He replied. Chapter 262. You're drunk. Mo Chuan gave a helpless sigh. If you want to vomit, then vomit. I'm not drunk. Chen Ning forcefully swallowed the tipsy feeling back down. She opened her eyes wide and suddenly sobered up. She sat up in Mo Chuan's embrace and looked forward. She clearly said, You're going the wrong way. This is not the road to the King Ding Yuan Palace. Oh. You're really awake. You recognize the road. Mo Chuan did not recognize the direction and just let the date red horse wander. There were many roads in the capital city and it was night time, so he did not know where the date red horse was pulling the two of them. Of course I recognize you. Let me tell you a big secret. As long as it's a road that I've walked on once, I'll never forget it again. If I've seen someone once, I'll always remember their appearance. So, after I've seen your face, you can't run away. Chen Ning giggled. She had not completely sobered up and the alcohol was still strong. Her tongue began to grow louder as she spoke. She swayed left and right on the horse's back, almost falling off several times. Mo Chuan could only hold her tightly. Her waist was very thin, like it would break with a gentle pinch. He could hold her with a single hand. The girl's sweet scent came over and his body was suddenly filled with flames. Don't move. He knit his brows and held her shoulder with one hand. He gritted his teeth and kept his distance from her. I'm not moving, I just can't sit still. I-oh. The date red horse suddenly shook a little and Chin Ning's body swayed, falling forward. Mo Chuan grabbed her waist and pulled her back. Because he used too much strength, their bodies were tightly pressed together. The flames in his body that had just been extinguished began to burn again. Damn! He gritted his teeth and cursed in a low voice, not knowing if he was cursing himself or cursing her. He tried his best to restrain himself as he looked forward. His voice was as cold as ice. Where do we go now? The date red horse was at a three-way road. Chen Ning slightly looked up and said without any hesitation, right. Mo Chuan almost suspected that she was pretending to be drunk. He raised the reins and turned to the right road. In the silent night, the horse's hooves stepped on the blue stone road, making a monotonous and clear sound. Under Chen Ning's guidance, after turning another corner, he saw the back door of the King Ding Yuan Palace. She was not drunk. Mo Chuan's heart filled with anger. He did not believe that a drunk person would be able to recognize the road with their eyes closed. This was simply impossible. He reached out to grab her shoulder and turned her to face him. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why did you lie to me?" "Lie to you? When did I lie to you?" Chen Ning's head became more and more heavy as her eyelids drooped down. She was drunk and she couldn't even think clearly anymore. You obviously know who I am, but you always pretend not to know. You're obviously not drunk, but you're pretending to be drunk. How much longer do you want to deceive me? Mo Chuan's voice was very cold, each word was like ice falling to the ground. His eyes were even colder, filled with a bone-chilling intent. Anyone who was stared at by him like that would tremble all over. But Chen Ning was drunk, she was not afraid of him at all. Instead she giggled and reached out to grab the mask on his face. Chapter 263. Mo Chuan grabbed her hand and tightly knit his brows. Looking at her appearance, it seemed like she was really drunk. Big bad wolf. Little white rabbit. I don't think you're a little white rabbit, but rather an incomparably sly little fox. He gently curled his lips and his lips revealed a trace of gentleness that even he did not notice. It was completely different from his usual coldness. Damn old emperor, I'll beat you to death. Chen Ning suddenly opened her drunken eyes and threw a punch at Mo Chuan's face. With Mo Chuan's skills, how could he let her hit him? But he did not know why. But he was stunned. He did not dodge and the punch landed right on his nose. It was a good thing Chen Ning was drunk and her hands were weak. His nose only felt a bit sore, but it didn't hurt much. You really are bold. He suddenly grabbed her hands, not allowing her to move. His body released killing intent once again. Xiao He, why is it you? Chen Ning shook her head and the blurry figure in front of her became clear. She said with a smile, I thought it was that bad emperor. If I saw him, I would have killed him with a single punch. Mo Chuan's face couldn't help turning dark. He said in a low voice, the emperor, how did he offend you? It's him who offended me, he's greatly offended me. He is a muddled emperor. He has nothing better to do than meddle in other people's business, messing around. Tell me, is he an old muddled person? Old and muddled. Old muddled. Aye. The emperor, is he very old? Mo Chuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chen Ning's brain turned into paste as she muttered, the emperors in the movies are all white-bearded old men, with toothless old eunuchs by his side. Woo, perhaps this emperor is not too old, but he is definitely a muddled person. Otherwise, why would he marry me to that bastard Chu Xiaoyang? White-bearded old man. Mo Chuan couldn't help rubbing his smooth chin. Thinking of Xiao Si, he almost laughed, toothless old eunuchs. He supported Qin Ning's swaying body and said while shaking his head, "You really are drunk. Marrying you to King Ding Yuan was not the emperor's idea, but rather your own idea. It was your father, Great General Qin, who personally went to the palace to ask for an imperial edict, saying that you would not marry anyone other than King Ding Yuan. The emperor sympathized with Great General Qin for fighting for the country for many years, so he allowed it. Now that King Ding Yuan has taken your sister as his concubine, you don't blame Chu Xiaoyang, but rather the emperor. He's not a good person at all. He's not a good person either. He's also surnamed Chu. Those surnamed Chu are all snakes and rats, not a single one of them is good." Qin Ning spoke in a slurred voice. Mo Chuan's face sunk. "Do you know that insulting the royal family is a capital offense?" Qin Ning's head tilted and she fell into his embrace. She mumbled a few words before falling asleep without knowing what happened. Mo Chuan. He was trying to reason with a drunken woman. "Forget it, I'll send you back first." He sighed and jumped off the horse with her in his arms. His figure flickered and he arrived on the roof. He knew that he couldn't let anyone see her like this, otherwise her reputation would be ruined. It just so happened that she was wearing a light green robe. In the night, it looked like a blooming green epiphyllum, especially eye-catching. Mo Chuan took off his outer robe and covered her body with it. Borrowing the cover of the night, he silently entered the king's palace. He avoided the guards of the king's palace and carried Qin Ning to the flowing cloud pavilion. Opening her door, he entered in a flash. The room was completely silent. There was no candlelight and no sound at all. However, he suddenly felt a murderous aura coming from behind him. Chapter 264. Mo Chuan did not have time to think. His feet touched the ground and he flew forward like an eagle. This move was very fast. Although he was holding a person in his arms, he was still as fast as lightning. He turned in the air and when he landed, he was already facing the assassin. That person was wearing a snow-white robe and had a picturesque appearance, but he was filled with anger. He pointed at Mo Chuan and scolded, "Black ghost, so it's you. Where did you take her?" Mo Chuan's eyes turned cold and he gave a snort, "Pervert, why are you here again? Don't you remember what I said? I said that as long as you appear here again, I'll hit you every time I see you." Chu Xiaobai's brows rose. When he was about to explode, his eyes suddenly fell onto Qin Ning and his expression instantly changed. "You. What did you do to her?" She. His voice trembled and he almost couldn't say it. He saw that Qin Ning was covered in a black man's robe. Her face was red and her eyes were closed. There was a faint fragrance of wine coming from her. It was clear that she was drunk. A large fear filled his heart as he stared at Mo Chuan with eyes that seemed like they were about to burst into flames. "Black ghost, you. You're not a human. You're taking advantage of me." He was like an angry lion as he charged at Mo Chuan, wishing he could kill the man that had taken advantage of her in front of him. His handsome and refined face contorted in anger, and the bones in his arms crackled. It was obvious that he had used all of his strength. His palm was filled with anger and Mo Chuan knew how strong it was. If he wasn't holding a person, it would have been easy to deal with this palm. But he was holding Qin Ning. In a split second, he suddenly jumped off the ground and flew into the sky like a white crane. His posture was incomparably beautiful. Although he was holding a person, he was still very nimble. He jumped over Chu Xiaobai's head and landed behind him. Chu Xiaobai's eyes lit up. "Who are you? Why do you know my Chu family's qigong? Where did you secretly learn this move, Cold Pond Crane Shadow, from?" Chu Xiaobai's face turned cold as he suddenly turned around. His eyes stared right at Imo Chuan, but he did not continue to attack. Because he was afraid of accidentally injuring her. Secretly learn. Why would I secretly learn it? This isn't considered a great secret art, so why do you think only your Chu family knows it? There was no expression on Imo Chuan's face, but his voice was filled with indifference. Chu Xiaobai was so angry that his hands began to tremble. He gritted his teeth and said, "All right, put her down and we'll go out to fight." His heart was already filled with killing intent. This black-clothed man dared to do this to her, so he would not forgive him. This black-clothed man dared to do this kind of thing to her. Are you a servant of King Jing'an's palace? Imo Chuan didn't say anything, but once he did, Chu Xiaobai couldn't say anything. Imo Chuan coldly looked at Chu Xiaobai. "King Jing'an, you don't need to be this excited or be this angry. She was drunk and fell asleep, I just sent her back. Only you, King Jing'an, would take advantage of someone when they are down. I disdain doing such a thing." Chu Xiaobai took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. He looked at Imo Chuan with doubt, half believing his words. "Who are you? Why are you always by her side and you still say you have no evil intentions?" He gave a cold laugh. "You don't care who I am and I don't need to explain it to you. I just want to remind you, don't forget your own identity. This is not a place for your highness, King Jing'an. If you don't leave, then don't blame me for being impolite." Chapter 265. How could Chu Xiaobai be willing to leave, especially after seeing Qin Ning unconscious from being drunk? How could he be assured leaving her in the hands of this strange black-clothed man? "All right, I want to see how you'll be impolite to me." "Pay! When have you ever been polite to this king?" Chu Xiaobai reacted and spat at Imo Chuan. He couldn't help rubbing his cheek. It was still aching from Imo Chuan's slap last time. He had never been hit since he was young. Other than this reckless black-clothed brat in front of him, there was no one that dared to hit him. "So you're saying, you want to be beaten again?" Imo Chuan gave a cold laugh and his voice was filled with anger. His chin was still a bit swollen. This stinky brat, he was actually this heavy-handed. "Let's fight. Put her down, I'll fight with you outside. Don't wake her up here." Chu Xiaobai lowered his brows and said in a deep voice. When he saw Imo Chuan hugging her, his heart filled with anger. Especially her red drunk cheeks, it was like a beautiful blooming begonia, but this flower was being hugged by this man. "Even if I hugged her and fought with you, you still wouldn't be my match." Imo Chuan looked at Qin Ning who was sleeping like a kitten in his arms and suddenly didn't want to let go. Chu Xiaobai's face turned green. He took a step forward and grabbed her arm, pulling her into his embrace. At the same time, he stared at Imo Chuan and said word for word, "Let go of her for me." Imo Chuan raised his chin and hugged her even tighter. He coldly said, "I won't let go. Let go. Won't let go. Let go. Won't let go." The two of them stared at each other with wide eyes, looking at each other. The smell of gunpowder filled the air. "Kacha!" A clear sound rang out, followed by Qin Ning's painful cry, "Io, it hurts. My arm." She felt a sharp pain in her right arm that made her tear up. All of her drunken drowsiness flew away. When she opened her eyes, she immediately saw two people in front of her. One was black and the other was white. She found that she was in Imo Chuan's embrace and her right arm was in Chu Xiaobai's hand. The two of them were pulling at her like a tug of war and her arm was actually dislocated. Imo Chuan and Chu Xiaobai were both stunned. The two of them were like two fighting roosters, pulling each other. They had unknowingly used too much strength, but they had forgotten that the one being used was not the other, but rather Qin Ning's unlucky arm. The two of them were both ashamed and ashamed. They lowered their heads like students who had made a mistake, not daring to look at her. Hey! 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 Do you two think, what is going on? Both of you, let go. Chen Ning grimaced in pain. Especially when she saw their guilty expressions, she was filled with anger and almost cursed them out loud. Chen Ning gritted her teeth in pain. She shouted in an imposing manner. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaobai's hearts skipped a beat and they let go at the same time. Ning! Ah! Chen Ning's but fell to the ground. She was so angry that she almost roared out. Do the two of you have a grudge against me or something? Yun Chen of the Bai Chen of Chen the Shaolin Yun Ning, one of you hurt my butt, and the other broke my arm. How can you bully me like this? She held her dislocated right arm, and the pain made her suck in air through her teeth. Sorry. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaobai said at the same time. I didn't do it on purpose. The two of them said at the same time. I didn't do it on purpose. The two of them said at the same time. Chen Ning couldn't help rolling her eyes. Chapter 266. She felt that she was really unlucky. She didn't offend anyone, she just fell asleep from being drunk. When she woke up, she found that her arm had been dislocated by someone. These two damn fellows. She stared at the two of them and her eyebrows turned green. Ning, it's all my fault, it's all my fault. I'll help you reconnect your bones and you won't feel any pain soon. Chu Xiaobai took a step forward and kneeled down in front of her, gently holding her right arm. You know how to reconnect bones. Let her go and let me do it. Mo Chuan also took a step forward and his hand grabbed Chu Xiaobai's wrist. Moreover, the way he grabbed it was not gentle at all. Chu Xiaobai's brows jumped up and he couldn't help taking a deep breath. He quickly turned around and glared at Mo Chuan. His eyes were filled with flames as he angrily said, Scram, you don't have the qualifications to touch her. I don't have the qualifications. The one who doesn't have the qualifications is you. Your Highness King Jing'an, don't forget who she is to you. Mo Chuan gave a cold laugh. Chu Xiaobai angrily said, I don't need you to remind me. Shut up. What qualifications do you have to order me? Who do you think you are? Mo Chuan increased the strength in his hand. Chu Xiaobai grimaced in pain and scolded, Stop pretending in front of me, where did this bastard come from? This is a matter between me and Ning, it has nothing to do with you. Your matter is my matter, I want to care about it. Chu Xiaobai gave an angry laugh, Alright, if you want to care about my matter, then you have to ask if my fist agrees. Mo Chuan looked at him, Your Highness King Jing'an, do you want to teach me a few moves? That's right. I just want to smash your face. Chu Xiaobai angrily shouted. Hey, try it if you have the skills. Mo Chuan raised his brows in an uncaring manner. With a needle against an awn, the smell of gunpowder filled the air between the two of them. Chen Ning looked at one and the other. Seeing one with a fierce expression and the other with a smile, she couldn't help giving a zeeth sound. I say, Little White and Little Black, it's a good thing that the two of you want to compete in martial arts and promote the path of martial arts. But before you verify your martial arts, can you first reattach my arm? Allow me. Allow me. Chu Xiaobai and Maobai spoke at the same time. As soon as their voices fell, their gazes met in the air. Sparks flew from their eyes as they drew their swords. Bang! Chen Ning did not even have time to speak before she heard a muffled sound. It was unknown who hit who first. What followed was the sound of punches and kicks hitting each other. The two figures quickly began to fight. Their clothes fluttered in the wind as they moved around the room, making Qin Ning's eyes blur. Bam bam bam. Paw paw paw. The two of them took a few punches and kicks from each other. Glaring at each other, they quickly started fighting again. This scene was so familiar, it was exactly the same as that night. Qin Ning was stunned seeing this. She could not understand why the two of them had turned into children, fighting over a single disagreement. The furniture in her room was once again destroyed. It hadn't even been a day since she changed it, but it had all been turned into pieces. But Qin Ning did not care. Since these expensive furniture and decorations were all bought with that bastard Chu Xiaoyang's money, even if they were all destroyed, she would not feel any pain. Chapter 267. Other than her arm, her head was also beginning to hurt. If these two people fought in her room every night, she would not be able to sleep well in the future. Suddenly, another ping sound rang out, scaring Qin Ning. She thought that one of the two people had been injured again. Xiao Ru's disheveled head popped in from the door. She sleepily asked, "Young miss, is there thunder in your room again?" She looked at the two figures in front of her and thought that she was dreaming. She stood there rubbing her eyes as her mouth formed a circle. Oh! God! What is going on? What is going on? Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaobai were fighting intensely, neither of them paying attention to her. Xiao Ru rubbed her eyes for a while before finally seeing the two people in the room. "Young miss, quickly come and see. An immortal and a mortal are fighting," she excitedly shouted. Qin Ning's lips curled up. She really wanted to slap the back of Xiao Ru's head. "Xiao Ru, quickly come and help me up." She endured the pain as she shouted. She was too lazy to care about these two fellows fighting. If they wanted to fight, then they could fight. Even if they destroyed the entire room, it would still be Chu Xiaoyang's money. Xiao Ru finally noticed Qin Ning sitting on the floor. She quickly ran over and grabbed Qin Ning's arm. "Young miss, what's wrong?" "Pain, pain, pain. Don't move no matter what. My arm is broken." Qin Ning broke out in a cold sweat from the pain. "Ah." Xiao Ru was shocked and tears began to pour out. She sobbed and said, "Young miss, did that bastard Highness hit you? He actually broke your arm. He's really bad, he has a sore on his head and a bad heart." The two people who were fighting all stopped at the same time. They both remembered that Qin Ning was still injured. "Ning, I'll help you fix your bones." "Let me." Two people appeared beside Qin Ning at the same time, one on the left and one on the right, holding her arms. "Let go of her. Let go of her." The two of them shouted at the same time as they stared at each other. Seeing that another fight was about to begin, Qin Ning suddenly had an idea. She loudly shouted, "Io, it hurts so much." Sure enough, it attracted the attention of the two of them. Mo Chuan did not say a word as he grabbed her right arm and pushed it. Hearing a "ka" sound, Qin Ning didn't even have time to cry out in pain before her dislocated arm was successfully fixed. "You!" Chu Xiaobai fiercely glared at Mo Chuan. Although he hated him for being a step ahead, he also admired the other side's clean methods. Qin Ning rubbed her arm and looked at Mo Chuan and then at Chu Xiaobai. "Since you two like to fight so much, then go ahead and fight to your heart's content. Now, both of you, get out." She scolded with a stern face. Both of them were filled with remorse and guilt towards her. They wanted to apologize, but because of the other party's presence, they couldn't open their mouths. Xiao Ru blinked her eyes as she stared at Chu Xiaobai. She suddenly clapped her hands and said, "I recognize you, you're the immortal young master that descended to the mortal world that night. Chu Xiaobai did not even have time to speak before Qin Ning angrily shouted, Xiao Ru, shut up. You're not allowed to talk to these two crazy people in the future. You are not allowed to talk to these two lunatics anymore. Chu Xiaobai and Nemo Chuan looked at each other. Although they didn't know what these words meant, they knew that it wouldn't be anything good. Crazy people. Chu Xiaobai and Nemo Chuan looked at each other. Although they didn't know what these words meant, they knew that it wouldn't be anything good. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.